What's up, guys? Welcome to SpawnCast. I have quite a few people here with me right now. Now, Philip said he was having some internet issues currently. His internet's running kind of slow, so he may join us later if they get it worked out. But for now, I'm joined with Max from Dreamcast Guy as usual. Now he's kind of become a regular.
Always happy to be back. You have the best chat in the business.
Yeah. How's everything, Max? Good week.
Bad week, but happy to be here and happy to talk games.
Okay, very good, very good. Evan, how's everything going there?
All right. I mean, still working on more video ideas for our channel and just going from there since I cracked into the chest of all my fighting games since we started building those cheap fight sticks. Which was
arcade sticks. Yeah, do you have yours near you right now?
I don't have the long one near me. I have the new one.
You have a new one? You built another one?
Yeah, the one out of the different parts that we actually had.
That box.
Yeah. Super fun.
Yeah, that's a cardboard box I gave him, and he built an arcade stick out of it. We were building arcade sticks out of stuff because some website in China sent us a bunch of parts, so we've been building them just for fun. And the other one I think you built out of a crackers box, right?
Yep, that one has the more solid, harder to hit buttons. I actually really like these smaller ones because it's just so much more responsive.
Okay, and then of course Dave from Super Metal Dave 64 is here. How are things?
Fantastic. I'm doing great.
Yeah, you had a long day today, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, try living in San Diego and traveling down to Comic-Con today. It's on a Saturday. It's really crazy. People all over the place.
You were all over San Diego Comic-Con today, right? I saw some of those pictures of you meeting some of the cosplayers that were like dressed up as like Ray and R2-D2 and everything.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that R2-D2 may have been sent by somebody official because it was like the real thing, like totally. He was walking, he was moving around, making his sounds and everything. It was just like the movie, but who knows?
That's pretty cool. But you got to play all kinds of stuff while you're there too, stuff that's not out yet, right? I was hoping. See, Philip, like I said before, is having some internet issues. I was hoping he'd be on here because you both played Skyrim actually on the Switch.
Yeah, he played it a couple days ago early, and today it was open to the public if you were lucky enough to even get in there. But I was able to play Skyrim on the Switch in portable mode with the motion control and without it and all that kind of stuff. So we can talk about that.
Oh yeah. They didn't have anything in like docked mode, did they? Or was it all just portable?
Not that I was aware of, but yeah, it was in the portable mode. But it was really good. It was extremely good. If you guys saw Philip's video, obviously you did. He shared that sentiment as well.
Yeah, dude, his video. I wanted him on here too because his video went like viral, and Bethesda actually tweeted out about it too.
Yeah, they tagged him on their tweet and said, "Hey, check out Philip's video." And so yeah, he has like 100,000 views. So good job, Philip.
Yeah, that's why I was hoping to be on here because you guys played it for a bit. It looked like the loading times were actually decent too. Like they weren't bad.
No, it was really good. I was actually really surprised. I think it's one of the best looking games on the Switch so far, besides like Zelda. Honestly, I was extremely impressed.
Yeah, because it barely ran on the 360, right? Like it ran. Yeah. We're talking like 15 frames per second at times. Like it wasn't good.
They fixed a lot of things on the Switch. Obviously, it has more RAM than a 360. I think 360 had 512, right?
Yep.
Total RAM. We got 4 gigs or so, whatever, with the Switch, and so there's a lot less texture pop in. There's lots faster loading times. The frame rate is like locked at 30 frames per second in portable mode. I think I haven't seen the dock mode, but I think it runs faster in dock mode and 1080p. But don't quote me on that.
Sure, yeah.
But I believe it. Of course, it's native res in portable mode 720p. But it looks really good. So it's basically you're playing Skyrim right there in front of you in your hand. So just that fact of it is awesome. It's really good. If you like Skyrim, you'll be right at home. It's amazing.
See, that's dangerous because then it can, like I said, it can follow you around. I mean, if Skyrim could follow you, like back when it came out on the 360, man, if that 360 could follow me around, I would have been in trouble. Like I would have gotten nothing done because that game like took me over for a while. Evan, it's funny because Evan didn't really like Skyrim that much.
Didn't really get into it.
But
yeah, I mean, I liked it, but there were so many glitches with the game when it first came out on PC. Like also, unless you had a really powerful PC, you know how Bethesda is notoriously known for their under optimized games, and just having bad performance. So yeah, but this game, it's been out for quite a while, so they've tuned it. It runs really good on the Switch. Obviously, they took a lot of time in getting it to run, And it really shows too, because it loads really fast and it runs really smooth. There's no screen tearing. The lighting looks like it's been redone to match the remastered version of the game for PS4.
Interesting. I was going to ask you if you noticed that at all, because everyone, the biggest controversy right now, or I guess debate, is this the special edition version minus the mods, obviously, so it has like the better lighting and things like that.
Nobody told me anything in particular, like, hey, this is the remastered version, but it looks like it because the lighting, how they redid the lighting, how some of the grays have been replaced with more orange like hues from the sun, things like that. It looks more like that and not the 360 version where it's all gray. Like if you compare the early that game with the PC version to the vanilla version, it's very gray looking in some places. So this version looks a lot more colorful and vibrant. You can tell, and so some of the way the landscape looks, it's been kind of reformatted a little bit. So I think it is the remastered version, but don't quote me on that. Of course, nobody told me that, but it looks like it.
Yeah. I mean that's impressive because I think the the Xbox One and the PS4 version of the special edition, I think that runs at 30 frames also. Yeah. But I think that might have more to do with the CPU than the GPU in that case, because of course Bethesda Skyrim is like super janky at times. So it's
And the motion control aspect of it, I'm not particularly a fan of motion controls anymore. Particularly, they're not for me to do this kind of stuff with my shield and sword. But it worked, and it worked good. But so if you are a fan of motion controls, I think you'll enjoy that. But I think it's kind of similar to what Philip said. It's kind of like try it out, see if you like it. I don't think personally I would be playing it that way for a very long amount of time. You're going to be focused on not being distracted by your hands, but just focused on the gameplay itself.
Right, but the options there at least,
Options there.
Yeah, that sometimes that's all people want are options. Obviously.
And it does, and it does work. And I think in docked mode, I think it'd be a lot funner if you're laying down on the couch, sprawled out with your hands out and just relaxed. That would work pretty good.
Motion controls in tabletop mode are always weird because the screen just feels too small to be waving your hands around in front of it. I don't know if that's just me. Motion controls on a big screen make, I think, a lot more sense.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So yeah, it wasn't a very good atmosphere to test that out anyway, because there's so many millions of people around you. So it's I'm interested to play it at home, and see the whole thing. And as far as when it comes out, the rumor is, as we heard, is November 28th. So we don't know if that's really for sure or not. But that's been going around the wire.
Late November isn't bad for that game to come out because a lot of times Nintendo doesn't have a ton coming out in December, and that would kind of almost fall into December a little bit at that point. The first week sales obviously would fall into December, so not a bad release I think for Nintendo to have right there. I guess Xenoblade 2 will be around there somewhere too, so that's not bad to have.
Chronicles X came out in December on Wii U in 2015, so yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah, it fits. Not a bad spot for that to be. Good to hear that it's working. I think a lot of people were thinking the frame rate might be kind of bad or something like that. It seems like Bethesda figured out the Switch's hardware and it didn't work.
Yeah, I didn't notice any drops really. I could be mistaken, unless we have Digital Foundry, comparison where it drops to like 29 frames per second. But it seemed like it was locked at 30.
Yeah, so, it probably does have a dynamic resolution too. If you keep that in mind, there's a chance that maybe they prioritize 30 frames over what they did with the 360, which was keep a locked resolution and just screw the frame rate. If it drops 10 frames per second, it drops 10 frames per second.
But I was extremely impressed. Like if you're a Switch owner, you gotta seriously look at that game. It's really, really impressive.
Well, good. I'm glad they put the time into it too, because a lot of times you may see a company just not even care as much. Because Skyrim, it seems like they are trying to breathe as much life as they can out of Skyrim at this point, right, Max? Didn't you say, in your rant video, more Skyrim, oh boy?
Yeah, they pull that thing as much as they can out of the closet. And this is coming from a guy who absolutely loves the game. I've beaten it completely, start to finish, 3 times, including all DLC. I even did a full review of the remastered edition, and they're bringing it out again. It's kind of just like, man, I love this game, and even I'm kind of being like, oh, okay, yeah, just release it again, sure, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like Bethesda is almost like looking at GTA 5 and is like, we can do that. We just got to keep releasing the game over and over again.
Throw it back out there. Throw it out there again. All right, now new graphics pack. Throw it back out there.
That's what I was saying the other week. GTA 5, man. That game keeps selling as was number 3 in NPD this month or in June.
Yeah, isn't that insane? Yeah, I think PS4 had something to do with that. But while we're kind of talking about that, we can jump over to the NPD sales while we're talking about that, and it was interesting. It was definitely PS4's month. Sony did a lot though to make that happen. Though they dropped the pricing, they put out that gold PS4 with a 1 terabyte drive that sold really well. And for the most part, they're just keeping the shelves stocked. A Crash came out, but that came out later in the month, so I don't know how much of an effect that had.
Well, what's really crazy is they're thinking that Crash, actually, a lot of people are buying PlayStation 4s leading up to Crash, because Crash was the 4th best-selling game, I believe, in 2 days. It had 2 days, and it outsold almost every other game that had the entire freaking month.
Honestly, if it was $60, it may have topped the charts, because that's based on revenue, and it's a $40 game. Yeah. So there's a good chance it may have topped the chart if it was a $6 game.
Yeah. And those were remakes of the original 3, correct?
Yep. Full ground-up, complete remake, start to finish. They got the original wiring, basically. They redid the physics a little bit, and it's fan-freaking-tastic.
You can tell they're remakes because all the people who reviewed it are just complaining about how it's too hard.
Yeah, which is later. So I reviewed that. I think I gave it a 9.5 because I loved it. I loved the original so much, and I'd beaten them so many times. So coming back and seeing them even better would make. I did a full master file. I got every single gem, every single speed run through all 3 games. So I ended up absolutely loving it. The people who are complaining it are wussies.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say they're not. They probably either haven't been gaming for very long. Definitely not since the PS1. If they think this is difficult all of a sudden, right?
Or they've gotten used to the more casual nature of these types of games.
Yeah, checkpoint every 2 minutes kind of thing, and regenerative health, and if you fall off, it just kind of pulls you back up, kind of thing. You know, it's I mean, that's how it was back in the 32-bit or 64-bit days. I mean, you fall off, you die, you go back. That was it.
I don't think people remember how big Crash was back in 1996, 97, 98. It was a really big franchise. I mean, it sold a lot. So I could see why fans really wanted to pick up that game.
They had some awesome commercials too.
Yeah,
where they had Crash go to the Nintendo headquarters and yell at him with a megaphone.
I've been wanting to do because I do conventions occasionally, and I've wanted to do a top 10 at one of these conventions, like a top 10 panel, and I wanted to count down some of the weirdest commercials, and I definitely got to talk about that one. The one where Crash drives up to actual Nintendo of America at 5 a.m. and none of the employees are there, but he gets in the parking lot. Hey Mario, you better quit! It's like, what the hell? It was so good.
it was great. There were some weird commercials. There was that one I showed for the Game Boy Advance where they put the mouse in the. Did you see that in the maze?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's so many weird commercials. The PS3 with the baby, the Yoshi's Island one where the guy keeps eating and he explodes.
The Sagata Sanchiro,
those are awesome. It's like a Saturn one. Wasn't it like the boardroom?
The very, very, very original commercial for Smash Brothers, where all the characters are skipping through a field looking happy, and they start beating the hell out of each other. It's just whoa.
Mario or something.
Yeah,
that was great. I loved it. It was they had that song "So Happy Together" playing when they were just beating each other up. It was great. I love that commercial.
Yeah, that was crazy. Smash came out in 1999, and then Melee came out in 2001. Then it's been really a long time to wait between Smash Brothers games since then.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty quick. That was like back-to-back almost, you know? But it was good times. But yeah, so the MPD shows that the PS4 is still very strong. In fact, that was their best month of June they've ever had, which is interesting. In their whole history of selling the PS4, that was it. It was odd they didn't give us a specific number that I could find. Did you guys see any? I couldn't find a number for it. I know a lot of companies don't generally disclose numbers, but I mean, I didn't see anything.
The number that was leaked on NeoGAF was 382,000. And
okay.
I don't know if that was. I mean, they didn't say it was 100% legit, but they listed all the sales numbers for Switch and PS4 since it launched. And they said it was pretty much from a legit place, but they wouldn't say what site it was. They're trying to hide, where it came from. Yeah. So they say it was around 382,000, give or take. So
damn,
that's pretty high. Pretty good. That's pretty good.
But it was on sale, like you said, and they had that gold version.
Yeah, they definitely did a lot to push it in a time that's usually slow. So it helped them be the best June they've ever had. Because when you get into summer, sales for all this stuff tend to slow. I mean, everyone's on vacation. I mean, that's why we don't have any new TV usually either, because everyone's just on vacation. So summer tends to be a slower 2 months, and I mean that's pretty good.
Have y'all noticed? And I was reading an article about this that apparently almost all of Sony's money now is a huge chunk of what's keeping Sony alive right now is the the PlayStation Network. Apparently, like, all their digital games are actually starting to surpass the sale of physical games by like a huge profit margin.
Yep.
And I think that's because I'm sure we're all PS4 owners. They've been doing crazy back-to-back sales lately. It seems like right now, since this is the slow season and they know it, they've just been like, all right, Horizon Zero Dawn, half off. All right, Killzone, $2. Shadow of Mordor, $3. And so they just rake in tons of money on old games right now digitally. It's just, it's weird to see them boosting and ramping up sales so late in the console generation.
Yeah, and they're being smart about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're being smart about it too, because they are they're not like Steam, where Steam just gives you like 99% off at once. They're being a little bit smarter than that, giving you like 35-40% off at a time, and then staggering it throughout the year, maybe 2 or 3 huge sales and then some smaller ones. Not like Steam, where they give you like a gigantic sale all the time.
Yeah, well, that is oh, go ahead.
I'll say all sorts of different sales. Like there was the It Came From Japan sale where they did a bunch of RPGs and the Resident Evil games were on there. And then they had like the Konami sale, and they ended up just giving away basically like the Silent Hill one. You could buy the Silent Hill collection on PS3. You could get Peace Walker. It was crazy. They keep just finding up like they're like inventing themes of like now all these weird like super specific games are basically free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's how you drive people in, get the console sales, you get a certain level of people that own the system, and then you just hit them with all kinds of sales, and you just kind of sit back in a chair and just watch money kind of pile up in the office.
Yep.
One thing I noticed, guys, is that when I was at E3, even though Sony had not a very good conference, and the booth for Sony was jam packed. Like they had so many games on display, and all the people, I mean, not all of them, but a lot of people were in the Sony booth, and a lot of people were trying out Monster Hunter World too. So I don't know if something like about that increased sales, because they increased sales for PS4 in Japan as well. If you've noticed, it's been going up and up and up like ever since they announced that game.
Well, they're going into some big releases. Gundam came out. It didn't do as well as I think they would have wanted it to, but that definitely helped push systems. And then we're coming up on the big release in Japan, which is Dragon Quest XI. I mean, that's gonna push PS4s out the door like crazy. The other nice thing is they don't seem to have a stock issue in Japan like the Switch seems to, where they just cannot get Switches out in time. Now I think we're all going to be really interested in the Media Create for this week coming up, that report, because that's going to include at least one day of Splatoon 2, which is the big day, obviously, because the eShop crashed the night it came out. I mean, that thing was down for like 10, 15 minutes, which is hilarious because I was trying to download the other game, Beast Boy or whatever it was called, Boy Beast, or I can't remember what it's called. I was trying to download that, and it kept like crashing on me.
Yeah, the eShop crashing is something that keeps happening for the last like 5 years with Nintendo. Like the Wii U, same thing happened every time they released a new game. Smash Brothers, Mario Kart 8, you couldn't get on and download the game for like 2 hours.
I mean, I have to imagine Splatoon 2 might have been a 1 million unit seller the day one.
It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, Japan is like in love with that game. I mean, they absolutely love that game. And there's over 1 million Switches out there. So even if they had a 50% attach rate, which I think would be very low, that's 500,000 sales right there in the first day. And then of course here in the United States, I'm sure we bought quite a few Splatoon 2s. So I think we may see that. We may see a million sales in the first day. We won't know everything. We'll just know what Media Create presents to us in Japan, but then we can kind of extrapolate a little bit over in the US.
It's hard to predict. Like Splatoon 2 is one of those games where when it was coming up, I didn't see a ton about it. Like everybody was excited for it, but it was just like tiny murmuring. But at that midnight release, I saw so many people taking selfies, standing outside GameStop, so like a crowd of people dressed as squid. So this could be a day 1 million seller, which honestly kind of shocks me. It impresses the heck out of me that like I didn't see a ton of marketing. I saw some like griping beforehand of how much of an improvement is this, but here we are day one and everybody's saying, are they a kid or a squid?
Yeah. And I will say, Max, have you played it since it released?
No, I've been already working on my next couple of reviews. So it's one of those games where it came out and I had to move on. It
takes like seconds to find a match now. Remember how before it came out, we were trying to play it and it took like 5 minutes to find a match sometimes?
Yes. Well, and if you were in the middle of the night, there was no matches because everybody's out of the office.
I remember there was me and one other guy, and I'm trying to remember his name. I think it might have been Bill. And we kept trying to find a match because he kept running into my match. And it was just us. I swear it was just us on. I think it was like it was just us. So yeah, now it's like rapid fire matches. You find matches so easily now, which is great.
Before it came out, did you keep getting killed by Nintendo employees? All the people that were like Treehouse member 13 and Treehouse member 12, and they would just go in there and just decimate everybody on their own.
I think I only ran into one of them one time, and I can't remember how it went. I could probably look in that app to see how it went. Evan might have run into a couple of them too, because Evan sat here for hours playing multiplayer when it came out, like the day it was announced or released to us. He played for days. I did run into IGN a lot.
Yeah, I ran into IGN, and I ran into Game Explain all the time because their name is BitNerdGX, and I just kept running into them. But I was surprised that I was able to kill them, whereas when I run into them while they were on Mario Kart, they were just mopping the floor with me.
Splatoon 2 is a different game. See, I'm used to a lot of the first-person shooters. Like, I'm a big Halo fan. So after I got the hang of Splatoon 2, it became easier. But then I realized even if I got 13 kills in the game, we might still lose because I'm not inking territory. So yeah. It's an interesting game. It's definitely different than a lot of competitive games, but that's actually a good thing. So I'm happy with it. I still play it when I sit down occasionally, just because it's super fast to get into a match. But I understand, Max, you got to get on to the next review like right away.
Yep. The infinite treadmill of a game reviewer. As soon as one game's beaten, you got to write the script and jump onto the next game.
Hey, that was a very good job by Evan too on the review.
Which one?
For Splatoon 2.
Yeah, Evan, you did pretty good, Evan. What do you actually? I guess we could tell people what you're working on now, since people actually seem to be interested in what you're working on now.
Oh, what for? Which are we talking about? The
you just did like a massive voiceover the other day.
Yeah, the history of the Dreamcast.
The history of the Dreamcast, man. The executive and business side of it. It was pretty cool to see that. So yeah, he did all of that. But Evan wants to get into more like history stuff now.
Yeah, history stuff's always fun. I wanted to start doing the videos of the old fight games that really need a resurgence, just because you and I are both hyped about the Dragon Ball Fighter game coming out. So awesome.
Me too.
That game looks legit, yes. But you could probably do a whole history of the Dragon Ball fighting games, Evan.
Yeah, we could go. I could go over those, but there's so many others that I don't want to like miss out on because of all the functions in them, like PI Match or Melee and like Rage of the Dragons, and just how interesting some of the games that were based on other titles were that came out, like Garo, Mark of the Wolf, based on the whole King of the Fighter series, and it was so much smoother than those games anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Well, whenever it comes to Dragon Ball games, I always like to tell people that we actually got a Dragon Ball game in America before the anime, and didn't they call it Cloud Boy? Like Cloud Boy.
I know what you're talking about. Dragon Power, right?
Yeah, the first ever Dragon Ball game actually came out, and they didn't even call it Dragon Ball in America. They were like, no one knows what the hell this is.
Yeah. But if you look at it, it's Kid Goku on the front, and it follows the entire storyline like to a T of Dragon Ball. It's really funny.
There's a bunch of Nimbus levels that kind of remind me of the NES Captain America game a lot. It's just like, oh my gosh, but they were like, oh, no one knows what this is, just whatever.
But it was really funny. In fact, so in the scene where Master Roshi needs to get there's a scene where Bulma gives Master Roshi her underwear in exchange for information, and instead they flip the sprite over and call it a sandwich in that game, which is really funny. If anyone plays it, you get, I guess, an emulator or whatever and play it. But yeah, it's very difficult too, by the way. It's extremely difficult. But I mean, there's a lot of Dragon Ball games a lot of people didn't play that were only in Japan. There's like Super Butoden 1, 2, and 3, which were all on the Super Nintendo, and they're all fighting games. There was actually one
really good.
Yes, yes, they are. I used to play
the one on
the Hyperdimension games?
Hyperdimension was
my friend actually used to emulate. The first game I ever played on emulator was that. We used to get an emulator that lets you play games over the internet, and we used to, like, in school, we like hack the computers to play emulators. We used to be in computer class beating each other up as Goku, like silently hammering keys to power up.
We used to play Counter-Strike, I think is what we'd always play. Counter-Strike and Quake, I think. But yeah, because we made it so you could load it off of a USB stick back then.
Yeah, well, we had zip drives, so we'd make everything self-loadable zip drives.
Yeah, we thought we were awesome back then.
Elite hackers.
You had like Super Butoden series. You had, like you said, Hyper Dimensions, which was really cool. And then there were even Famicom Dragon Ball games where you actually did the entire card-based system, like from the Legend of the Super Saiyan. They had 3 of those on the Famicom as well. I think one of those was Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans also.
My friend got the first one to come out on the PlayStation, and it's only in Japan. It's a fighting game, but it's really heavily an RPG, and it actually had It was one of those ones where the sprites are like flat, but the world is 3D.
Is that Ultimate Battle 22?
Yeah, or no. It was
Legends.
the one where you could do 3-on-3, and there would actually be multiple people per team.
That's Legends, I believe.
Yes, and it was so crazy to see this game. That was like one of the first like Japanese import physical games. Like he had to get a modded PlayStation, but he was just such a DBZ fanatic. I used to sit there and just watch, and they'd have these long speeches between matches, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I love every second of it.
Yeah, I actually had a friend who had a Saturn, and he got it on the Saturn. Because that was actually a game that released on the Saturn also. But he did the same thing. He had to mod it, or he had to get a paper clip or something. It was a whole thing. I don't know. I was very young at the time, but yeah.
You can use basically the equivalent of the Game Shark. If you get basically the Sega Saturn's version of the Game Shark, what is it called? Action Replay. If you get an Action Replay, it lets it accidentally bypasses the region check. So I play like the Japanese version of Grandia on my Saturn a lot.
Okay. Man, you guys would have been at Heaven and Comic-Con, man. They had all kinds of Dragon Ball Z stuff there, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Super, and new figures they were showing on display, new toys. You know, it was just you guys would have been in heaven.
Dragon Ball's had a minor resurgence recently, so
it's
good to see. It's good to see. I mean, the Fighters looks good. They are re-releasing, well, not really re-releasing, but they're releasing Xenoverse 2 now as a portable game on the Switch. And then, of course, the anime is going strong right now. Although there's a lot of things really I don't like about it, it's still pretty good. So, but there's a lot of things to look at there. Man, I would have loved to go to San Diego Comic-Con. That'd have been so awesome. Maybe next year, or maybe I'll go to the Philadelphia or Baltimore one at some point. But
yeah, but that new Dragon Ball game though, I mean, that looks like one of the best Dragon Ball games I've seen in a long time.
And it's because of the nuance. I think when John and I were watching one of the fights in it, wasn't it? I think it was Vegeta or someone like swatted an energy ball away and it hit a building in the background, like the little details.
Yep, the background got affected by it. Oh, it was so cool.
Well, I'm sure we've all now seen that video where they actually kept freezing it and actually putting the manga over it, and you could see that they 100% mirrored the manga for a couple of attacks. Man, it's so true to form. And isn't this is all being done by the Guilty Gear people? So these are people who are literally the kings of rapid fire combat. So it's just, man, I'm in 110%.
In an engine they're extremely used to. They've been using it for like 5 or 6 titles now, and it's so smooth. And even their first iteration of a game on this engine was so smooth.
Yeah, because when you watch the show, you always say, I want to be able to, I want to do that in a game, and now you can. That's amazing.
There's this.
The pros have said that's really good too. Go ahead, Max.
Yeah, well, and that's what I saw. There was a video that I think Angry Joe did, where there was like a professional Guilty Gear player that was standing at the machine at E3 at one point, and Angry Joe walked up and just films them doing a couple of matches, and they are just both grinning ear to ear because it's just so easy to start figuring out combos. There's just such like a built-in logic. It looks like I'm really excited because they're doing an open beta before the end of the year, I think. So I really want to freaking test it.
It might end up being a closed beta. I don't know. These companies are so weird about their betas because they're more than happy to let you in if you pre-order the game.
Yeah.
But, that's the way it goes sometimes, where you throw in their email and just hope. Did you play the Destiny beta?
I did. Yeah, I put several hours into it, made a video about it.
I didn't get a chance to play it yet. I know it's open right now. Did you get in the closed one or did you get in the open one?
I did the closed one. I was going to pre-order. I ended up having somebody from Bungie ended up emailing me a code, so I didn't even have to worry about pre-ordering it, thankfully.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, did you see Best Buy is charging people for them?
I heard that, but I didn't read any of the specific details. That's so weird. Like, did you have to buy the code, or you had to like buy the whole game and then they sent you the code? Or what was the exact?
You had to pay. I don't know. It was weird. It was like people were saying
the pre-order thing.
Yeah, that like you pay them, and then if you cancel it or something, it was weird. But yeah, they're trying to keep people from doing the age-old tactic of get the pre-order code, then cancel your pre-order.
Oh yeah, which I know people were doing forever. That was a thing that was really big on Amazon originally, because Amazon, before your card even started to get charged, it would email you the code instantly. So people would like pre-order a game and literally at the same time click cancel, but it already sent you the code.
Yeah, it's weird. They really need to stop making that an incentive for pre-orders, because I think it messes up the stores more than anyone, because they're the ones ordering the game for people who are just not going to pick it up. And then we see things like Target donating stacks of Mass Effect Andromeda to Goodwill.
Yep. Man, what a travesty that was.
Yeah, that whole thing turned out really badly. So it's
especially now with Anthem looking
very
amazing.
Good. It looks good. It looks good. We'll see if it gets downgraded like visually, but right now, from what we have to go on, it looks good. So I'm looking forward to that as well. But okay, so let me. Did you get Splatoon 2 first off, Dave? Did you get it?
No. I'm gonna wait on that one.
Okay. So you haven't had a chance to try to use the live chat stuff with the Switch yet, have you?
No, but I'm all I'm watching all your videos, man.
Sure,
I've seen
you're
it all.
up to speed.
Yeah, I'm up to speed, man.
I'll say you watched the video where Max and I were trying to use it.
Yeah, and I've heard my own personal horror stories from some friends of mine too, which haven't sounded too good either. So
it's like the hottest topic online right now is this voice app that Nintendo is pushing. We've known about it for a while, but it's almost like seeing it in action makes it that much more horrific.
Yeah.
It's because I feel like I could have just called Max rather than do what we did, like on our phone, and I would have got the same experience, except I would have been able to turn my display off. Is the thing. Or I could have just used Discord. There's not a massive reason for me to use this voice app right now.
Yeah. Well, where do you begin? It's insane.
When you think about it, it's actually, as weird as it is, if you really think about it, the game is better if you're not using their voice app. This is something I was thinking of after we did our video is, think about it. I could actually call you and we can make a team spawn wave and be playing with the play with friends option, which lets us play together in random matches and be talking that way and kind of break the balance because we can communicate. Whereas if we're using the actual app for voice chat, we get cut off from playing with random strangers. So it's like, are you encouraging me to go outside of your system to break your balance? It's so confusing.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what their thought process. I don't think anybody does. I mean, we're all trying to like throw speculations everywhere just to try to make sense of what's going on, and it's possible that it just doesn't make sense. Yeah. It's the weirdest thing I've. Evan, you saw the video, right? You didn't use the voice app at all because it wasn't out when you were reviewing the game?
I was already pretty sure it wasn't going to be that great, and seeing you guys have as much of an issue with it as you did, it's not at all interesting. And at this point, I'm just hoping either Nintendo has plans to eventually move it to the handheld, or Discord actually figures something out and like kicks down the door and just puts something on the app.
Yes, Discord has actually been talking about possibly putting a Nintendo app out there.
That would be great.
And that would be interesting, especially if they can figure out a way to have it just run in the background, like how the Vita runs Skype, for example, in the background. What if you could run Discord in the background on the Switch? Like that would be that's it right there, right? That's all there is to it. Then you don't need the app.
Seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah. Well, and it seems like something that it would revolutionize the Switch, and it's so weird to think that another third party has to handle that for them.
Yeah, and like we were sitting here, Evan was when we were doing multiplayer, and the entire time, Evan, you were like talking to the screen, trying to tell people what to do, and it's like in my mind, I'm like, just plug the headset in, Evan, because I'm used to like the Xbox One when I'm playing, because I've been playing a lot of Halo 3 recently, getting ready for them to make it go backwards compatible, and in my mind, I'm like, Evan, just plug in the headset, man, you can just talk to people, and I'm like, oh wait. No, never mind. You can't do that because Splatoon 2 needs communication, especially now that you're getting different people every match now. Like that game needs communication so badly. Otherwise, we all end up in one spot trying to ink a certain place. And then all the way on the other side, the entire half, I'll press X to look at the map. One side, except for the little part we're all surrounded around. So it's
interesting. Back in February, Reggie went on record and said it's going to be an elegant, solution. It's going to be convenient. Yeah, and then but everyone was thinking, well, no, this can't be it, right, Reggie? I mean, you're kidding, right? This can't be it. And I expressed my concerns back then, obviously in some videos, and now I'm just laughing at it because I can't. I mean, this is like almost like a joke. Like they really released it this way.
Well, what I was hoping when they first talked about it, 100% what I was hoping is that it'd be a thing that I installed on my phone and then it would unlock an option in my actual console. I was hoping that I basically was putting in like the I promise I'm a big boy with a headset, but everything would still be plugged into the console. I never would have imagined that it'd be like, okay, plug everything into your phone and then separately turn on your console and then press a button in the game and then a button on your phone and then sync. It's like, why? Why would you do that?
It's weird. It's just like there's so many steps to go through just to make it work for what is essentially in Splatoon 2 like a 4-minute match or something like that.
Yeah, Jesus.
Like
and you
said,
all
the work to go through.
Yeah, Max, you said your battery drained in like an hour, or how quick did it go?
Well, so yeah, what I ended up doing is I had this little tripod thing here, and so I put my my whole setup on this. That way I could try and watch the screen and do everything on this while I was also playing my my Splatoon copy. And my phone ended up dying in about an hour because I'm basically cranking out solid Wi-Fi connection at the same time as it's tracking stats and everything. So within an hour, I had low battery alerts coming on. It's like, cool. I'm really glad I did this with my time.
Yeah, you saw that I had to plug it in. I had to plug in mine just to make sure. I have a Nexus 5. I had to make sure. It's interesting. Also, the Switch seems to drain very quickly with Splatoon 2. I think that game pulls the most battery when you're playing online.
Yeah, which isn't a surprise. I used to play a lot of Vita games online. I was really big into like the competitive scene with the PSP and the PS Vita. I'm not the one person in the world who's ever said that, and it used to drain in like 20 minutes. I used to play a lot of Phantasy Star Online. There was a Phantasy Star Portable, and my friend and I used to play it. We both had to sit like in the corner of a room, both plugged into the wall, like basically sitting next to the outlets to play more than 12 minutes.
Yeah. So you probably would have wished you could have plugged it into the TV like Kim with the Switch, huh?
Yep.
That should be a game that should show up on the Switch as Phantasy Star. Man.
I've seen people say, actually, in your chat, people were saying that a lot last week or the week before when we were talking about games we want to see on the Switch. There were a bunch of people, and I hadn't even thought of that. But yeah, Nintendo's worked with the Phantasy Star team before. It'd be nice to see them all come back together.
That could be interesting. Anyway, Splatoon 2, I think lasts anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours on battery when you're playing online, from what I'm seeing online with everybody talking about it. And I can attest it does drain fairly quickly. You basically either need to be near an outlet or have a battery bank or a battery case of some kind that we're starting to see show up now attached to it. That's kind of where we are with that.
I will say it does seem like for single player it does work for about 4 or 5 hours, because there was one point where I just was babysitting my dog. My dog was feeling a little bit bad, so I had him in my room and I put it in handheld mode while I was just finishing the story mode, and it was fine. Like I managed to play for, it seemed like basically all night. So even though multiplayer is a big time suck, at least all right, if I'm stuck on a train and I'm not worried about being mugged, I can at least do a couple levels.
I have a feeling it has a lot to do with the Wi-Fi and the data being sent back and forth. Really, I think damages the battery. And of course, I play on like max brightness, so it doesn't help either.
Oh yeah,
that's the way it goes.
There's some hilarious pictures floating around out there for all the memes for this thing too. It's you gotta have a good laugh at it right at this point.
It was going to be the easiest thing to meme right now. I mean, that's it. You could basically draw somebody with like 100 wires on them and just and slap any kind of joke you want on, any kind of subtitle on it. And there are some good ones. You're right. There was one I saw that you put up where it had like Goro trying to hold all the things.
4 arms. I love it.
Someone put one of like the patent for the original internet router, the first ever internet router built, and it's literally thousands of wires all interlaced in these perfect grids. Like, all right, let's voice chat.
So here's where I'm trying to figure out. Do you think Nintendo is going to feel any pressure from all of this backlash?
I don't. I think they're listening, but I think they're going to move at the speed Nintendo moves. It's either going to get updated or they'll cast it aside or some amalgamation.
It's weird. They keep saying that, we hear you, and then we just keep waiting for something.
Yeah, what's really funny is if you go back and look at Pro Jared's interview with Reggie, I looked at this today. When Reggie mentions the phone app, you see Pro Jared kind of just like that. He kind of looks, he kind of looks at the cameras like, wait, really? We're doing phone? Okay. Yeah. Like it's almost anybody. Basically said I don't even know how Nintendo says it in interviews without doing the same thing. It's just, it's very odd. And then now people are saying, well, you can use your tablet. Well, the fact that you have to use any other device next to your Switch is weird to me. I don't know. It's odd.
Well, I especially realized that probably really hit Pro Jared. Pro Jared, for those who don't know in chat, he is a huge Monster Hunter fanatic. And I know he's extremely excited for Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Double Cross. And if it comes down to the fact that he can play with friends and talk to them on one version but not the other, it's going to be pretty obvious where a lot of the fans are going to go. If they know, hey, if I want to play Monster Hunter World and actually communicate, of course I'm going to choose the PS4 for my Monster Hunter experience.
Mm-hmm. Here's my thought here. It's very interesting. I've had a chat with a lot of people recently about this app because it was so fascinating to me, and I think a lot of people. I was trying to figure out reasons why Nintendo would do it, and I started to figure out. I talked to some people who have developed games in the past, and they told me that they can still build voice chat into a game, even if it's not an OS level thing, as long as they design it in their game. And that's why we see certain things like on the DS, for example, where it had chat in certain games, but not in the background. Like if you can't set up a room outside of a game and then kind of move from game to game. which is interesting because that makes me think. I wonder if Nintendo is telling developers not to do that. Like, don't put any kind of voice chat in your games. We want to make everything like completely dependent on this app. And that's weird because definitely something like Monster Hunter Double Cross, I think any technical bottlenecks that people may have theories about being an issue are pretty much thrown out the window because that's essentially an upscaled and kind of reskinned 3DS game.
Yeah, I totally agree. It should be possible, no matter what game you put on there, to do it through software.
Yeah, well, I mean, like if it's designed in the game, yeah. What were we saying, Max?
To take it back to the PSP for a second, a lot of PSP games, it was weird. So Sony ended up coming up with their own way to talk to people through the PSP. They actually made a Skype app that worked pretty well. You could just literally, once you signed in originally, it would be saved on there. You just had like a call button, basically, and you could call people very easily. But then the games also individually ended up making their own way of talking to other people. So if I was playing like, I liked really, what was it called? Siphon Filter Dark Mirror was a great one to play online. And they actually made it where when you first played it, it said, put in your online username. And from then on, all the voice chat was through it. So it's definitely super possible, even with minimal system specs. So I definitely think that Nintendo is purposely telling people, nah, don't bother. We got this, bro.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I feel like their app is for Nintendo games only almost, the way I'm looking at it, right? Because it's Nintendo Online. I feel like they're not going to put third-party games in this. I mean, I might be wrong, but maybe a third-party developer says, well, we'll just put voice chat in ourselves. Like, I don't know. What's coming up? FIFA has voice chat. Maybe they decide to try to add that in as like a game-level feature. Wrestling, I think, has voice chat as well, generally online, as an in-game thing. Basically, anything on the PS3 that had voice chat, they had to program it all into the game because the system itself was halved on RAM, so they had issues there. Any game you think of there, like wrestling, I thought had voice chat there. I know certain shooters that were only on that system had voice chat, but any of those kind of games could have voice chat on the Switch just through the game itself. So I'll be curious. That's the big thing I'm curious about is, are we going to see games come out that have voice chat like built into the game and not dependent on the app that appears to mostly be for like Nintendo games? I mean, Mario Kart's getting added to it, I assume. Right? I assume that's getting added.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well,
I don't know.
It's so hard to. The rollout of this app is so incomplete. I think they managed to just barely cobble together enough code to make Splatoon 2 work, and they pushed it out the door. It does not seem ready for launch.
It's really weird because I've been hearing some horror stories. Like I said, a friend of mine was playing Splatoon 2, and he said on his phone he has like a brand new Nokia, and if the app would crash every 10 minutes, and he got banned from Splatoon 2.
Oh
yeah.
So because you know how it bans you for disconnecting, and it wasn't his fault at all. So he ended up calling Nintendo and asking for a refund for the game because he said he just couldn't take it. He was trying to get games set up with friends. People kept calling him trying to get set up, and it would kick him from the game. And then the app would just crash too. So it's like from player to player, there's different circumstances that could be going wrong with the app too. We don't know about. In that circumstance, he wanted a refund, and Nintendo gave it to him.
I think the real frustration here is Splatoon 2 is a really good game, but it has this weird tacked on voice feature. It's like it's so close to being almost a perfect online competitive game for the Switch. It's just missing the voice chat because it's hard to be competitive when you don't have a way to communicate reliably to your teammates. Like it's so close, you know? Otherwise you have to stay near your computer and use Discord or actually do a group call on your phone.
It makes me picture like Nintendo's dream esports event and everyone is just silently sitting there playing their games, no talking, no communication. Reggie's like, perfect. All right, now put your phones down.
I think what they should have done. I think what they should have done is release the game just like Splatoon 1 was, without voice chat at first, and then really work on this app and get it tested more, and get some feedback first, and then release it and have it function. Be able to minimize it, be able to do other things, multitask on your phone, and because right now it's like it's blocking you like every step of the way. It seems like it's blocking you.
Yeah. It's just I don't. A lot of people say use Discord, and that's fine. You can use Discord, yeah, sure, but the fact that we have to go away out of the ecosystem for the the system you're holding. It just feels weird. I don't know. It's just odd in 2017.
It's even problematic in competitive games like this. In my time with Gigantic on PC, when it didn't have the voice function, the only way I was able to get into the groups that I did with the people that ran the Guardian Arena, which was the competitive scene, was because I was streaming at the time, and people would be able to find me that way. We'd get in contact. Then we would find the Discord. How do you do that in Splatoon when there's terrible voice option or no in-game voice? It's not how you generate the people you need to create a competitive team in that game. Like,
the other thing I realized when I was thinking back again to like the old Halo days where we used to play all the time, I met a lot of people in Halo that I added to my friends list because I could talk to them, and I realized they weren't like, you know, a kid just messing around or somebody just, you know, screwing around, not taking it seriously. To a degree, obviously it's a video game, but you know what I mean, not trying to like kill their teammates or like jump off the cliff or something. And that's kind of how it works. I would talk to them in a game. Okay, they're good, I will invite them to the party, we'll play a little bit, and if I enjoy their company and they're good and we win or we lose but it's close, I'll send them an invite, and we'll be, you know, he'll be on my friends list. I can invite him later.
So a game this year, and the reason I'm such a big champion, because so many Nintendo fanboys are just hammering me lately. If nobody cares about voice chat, nobody uses voice chat. And so the example I always give is this year, a game that's come out that's basically completely reliant on voice chat is Friday the 13th. I've been playing that game so freaking much because it's so fun to talk to people on that. Like, you're 8 people, 7 are counselors who are trying to survive, and 1 person is Jason. And the only way you can talk is with your voice, telling people what's going on. You can pick up things like the walkie-talkies. You communicate long range and tell people where you spot the killer and what things you have to escape, whether it be car batteries or gasoline. And so talking on there, I've gained so many friends. I've added so many people to my friends list and ended up going on to play other games with them just because it's so cool to be able to talk crap or be Jason and talk to people and be like, hello, I'm here to sell you Girl Scout cookies while I'm chopping them up in a cabin. Like, that's so cool. And that game honestly would suck if I couldn't talk. Games that I get into where no one's talking and no one has a microphone blow. So that's why I think it's so important that every single game have voice chat just to increase the experience.
Well, what about PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds right now? That game's blowing up too, and that's all voice chat as well.
Yep. And that's that just passed 5 million sales, which is crazy. For an early access game that came out in March, it is exploding.
There's something else you can look at too, because Nintendo, I still think personally is probably the most creative company when it comes to the big 3. Like, they're willing to get pretty creative with any of their IPs. And one of the things I used to love about the old games is when voice chat became a thing, the company started to try to figure out new ways or creative things to do with the voice chat. Like, for example, I used to play Splinter Cell Chaos Theory a lot back on the original Xbox. And one of the things you would do is if you were a spy and you were able to grab one of the mercenaries and put them in a headlock, you had like 5 seconds to say something to them. In Rainbow Six 3, for example, when you talked, your mouth of your actual character would start moving. And then in games like Halo, for example, I keep going Halo, but I was a big Halo fan. If you were in proximity to people, so you could hide in a base, you could actually hear them talking because you're close enough.
Okay. Like, I'm totally one of the best things ever, and the community existed for a matter of weeks, so you can't play this anymore. But when Condemned 2 first came out, it had a very small online community, and it was really fun because basically it was a series of detectives who were having to go into like meth head territory and find evidence due to a recent murder. So you basically had to have 5 points you had to capture, and there were a series of murderers who were able to like climb around in vents and hit people with bricks and stuff, and they had night vision. So you're trying to like get there, but there was voice chat proximity. And I used to just be the biggest creeper and just like sit behind a detective and be like, da 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 da, like all sorts of, because it's like, and it was so fun. And people went crazy with the voice chat in that game. It was so fun.
But like the fact that we were that creative back then and then it kind of stagnated a little bit. Can you imagine what Nintendo may have come up with voice chat if it wasn't such a weird thing for them to figure out in the first place? Like, if they had just native voice chat all the time, they would probably look past that and try to figure out different things they could do with voice chat. Like, there's so many things that you could do with it. And I feel like the most creative company is just like held back completely from doing some cool things with voice chat. I mean, people look at voice chat as communication, but so many cool things you can do, as we just said.
With the DS and the 3DS, they had the microphone built into it right there, and they had the little mechanics. You could blow on the mic and do something, with the game and stuff. And then talking, you can actually have voice commands as well in some of those games too, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like that's what I mean. But they got creative, right? Can you imagine what they might have been able to come up with communication in game? Maybe they do something crazy in a game that has walkie-talkies or something where your character has. It's hard to say, but I mean, it's weird that Nintendo is fighting this battle of voice chat in 2017. They should be past that. They should be trying to innovate voice chat right now.
And there's a fighting game on 3DS or DS that you can create your own fighter and you can create your own voiceover to the fighting game. What is that game called again?
Was that Fighter Maker? I don't remember.
Something like that. Yeah, but that was really cool, and it's like a $2 game, but you can actually program your own voiceover, like finish him, killing spree, that kind of stuff.
I do picture that I do a combo, and my character would do his victory pose, and it'd be like, "Your mom's a bitch." Like I just picture that it'd be all the clips would be really fast cuss words.
But yeah, I don't even know what would be holding Nintendo back from this whole thing. I'm not sure. Maybe they're trying to be way too like forward thinking. I don't know. Maybe in like 20 years we'll look back and be like, remember when Nintendo went against all the odds with their phone app, and now look at it, it's holograms or something. I don't know. but you know, maybe that'll happen. Maybe we'll look back and be like, yep, they had to go against the grain, but they got it. They figured it out. Now we all use it that way.
Yeah, you know the old saying is innovation is good, but innovation isn't always a good idea on some things. So.
That's the thing. We don't know. I mean, like I said, maybe we look back on it in 10 years and we're like, oh my gosh, you remember that dumpster fire of a cell phone app that they tried to push on us, and then a year later they just enabled voice chat on everything?
I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people would be mad.
I'd be totally fine with that. I'm totally okay with experimentation, but you have to learn from a mistake you made.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of times I wish I could go way forward in time just to see what happened in the past 10 years, just to see what happened in video games the past 10 years of technology. But like, I would love to see how VR shaped up in like 20 years.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Yeah.
But it's okay. So now that we're done our about 40 or half hour spiel on voice chat being absolutely insane on the Switch. Did you guys see the Atari box?
Yeah, I saw a lot more on it.
Okay, yes, there was actually a lot of stuff that came out about it, which is very interesting. They posted complete like renderings of it. Those aren't actual pictures of the system. Those are renderings that artists put out. Mm-hmm. But it shows a very small system, as you guys can see. Mm-hmm. And they keep claiming, which is odd, because you look at that and you see like something with an ARM chip. But they keep saying it's PC technology. It's not going to be like your cell phone is what they're basically implying. But I don't know what PC technology they would be talking about unless they're putting like unless it is like a mini Steam box that they put their own OS on or something, or maybe it's like an Atom processor like the GPD Win is. I don't know, but renderings came out.
It sort of brings to mind the NVIDIA Shield in a way. It sort of reminds me of like, let's just bottom line everything as much as we can, so it looks as good as possible for as cheap as possible, as small as possible. It even has that same sort of ergonomic shape. I don't know. I wish I could get excited for it. I even was tweeting at the developers, but as soon as somebody told me it's crowdfunded, I've just lost all hope.
Yep.
Yes, that's the
red
big
flag.
That's an issue. Why would they be crowdfunding this? Well, it's so hard to figure out why they would have to be crowdfunding this.
The exact quote in their actual press release to an investor is what totally it just realizes even they know this sucks. As they said, to minimize our possible loss, this will be launched as a crowdfunded project, which literally means even they are expecting to lose millions on this, but they want us to pay those millions.
Yeah, it's almost like they're trying to collect pre-orders without having a physical product in front of them.
Well, PC technology could just be the RetroPie 3 or something like that, right? A Raspberry Pi.
Well, even the Raspberry Pi uses an ARM processor. I guess they could be doing that, but okay, so this is perfect, Dave, because I can talk to you about this for a minute. This completely lines up, and I know it's like a big time theory. This completely lines up with them using an AMD chipset, doesn't it?
I don't know, maybe.
Consider the year when we heard about like some other company talking to AMD. It was what, like 2013, was that like late 2013? It was around when the PS4 and the Xbox One were kind of showing up on the market, and they were like, oh, 3 companies were talking to them, and we kind of originally thought, oh, maybe that's Nintendo talking to them about their next system. Mm-hmm. And then the PS4 and the Xbox One show up, but then that third company never shows up, and then the Atari comes out, and they're like, we've been working on this for about 4 years now.
Yeah, it's a good
and I was like, oh, I wonder if they were talking to AMD. And then we get further into their APUs that run on x86, which could be regarded as PC technology. And then we start to see the renderings, which of course those are artist renderings, but the entire front is graded, which was odd to me. Like they could hide a fan in there, for example. And I'm looking at this, and then they're not using any kind of low-powered plugin. It's an actual, like, what appears to be an actual power plugin that would use for a larger brick, maybe. And it almost looks like they could get away with a low-powered APU from AMD, something like you talked about Raven Ridge at one point.
Well, yeah, but Bristol Ridge just came out last year too, and that's like in laptops. I think that's between 10 and 15 watts or something like that they could use. It
would place the Atari box in like Switch neighborhood, maybe better. And that would be interesting because then you could see games that run on the Switch, for example, like Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. It could be on the Atari box.
Yeah. But yeah, the way they talk though, it's really suspicious to me. I really don't know what they're doing because you could just be seeing smartphone games. You could be seeing, just little simple mobile games with the original Atari games.
Yeah, because the crowdfunded aspect smacks of the Ouya, so it's just like immediately that's what you're expecting.
Yeah, there's no card slot either, is the thing, which is weird.
Yeah,
there's
you're right.
Card slot, but there's no card slot. And here's the thing, though, getting an AMD chipset is not out of question because we've seen the SMOC Z do the same thing. Well, try to do the same thing, I guess. That's a whole story on its own. But they were trying to get Merlin, and now they've been upgraded apparently to Raven Ridge or something now. So, and they're much smaller than who owns Atari now? Is it Info Games or Info Games, whatever they're called?
I think it's the other way. I know it's all it's like a Chinese investment firm that technically owns Atari now. It's somebody real random.
But they have more money than the people running SMOC Z, and SMOC Z is trying to get an AMD chipset, passively cooled, by the way, in their handheld. Whereas Atari could put a fan on top of it and could put it in just a box that sits in front of your TV that doesn't need a battery.
Yeah, I mean, AMD would be the best choice right now because they make so many chips for SoCs that I could see them easily getting an older one that's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, it's interesting to say the least. Everybody really wants to know the specs. Everybody. We all want to know what's in this system, but they're very tight-lipped. It took a while to hear about the fact that it's going to be PC technology that came from the CEO himself, and we find out the renderings where it has all the basic plugins in the back, including this really weird-looking plug on the rendering. If you look at it, I have no idea what that plug is all the way to the left, but it also has Ethernet in, so it's not going to be just Wi-Fi, which I found that interesting as well because you would use Ethernet unless it just doesn't have Wi-Fi, which would make zero sense. But usually you use Ethernet if you need a stable connection for something like competitive gaming, for example.
Yeah, well, the Ouya also had a hardwired, but it was also meant to be a media box. It was something that you were supposed to be able to like tether and then stream stuff off your PC if you wanted like movies and stuff. So they may be also trying to go that angle of like it's an Atari, but it's also your new movie maker.
It's like an all-in-one box, right? Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, but that's another reason you need a landline like that, a hardwire, is to stream like, I don't know, 4K video or even 1080p is going to run better than running over the air, obviously. It's interesting, the ports on the back. It's weird. It doesn't point to being like an Android box, for example, when you look at the ports. It almost points to something a little more. I don't know. They're so foggy about this. And then people over on Atari Age, one guy was in like a test group for it. He doesn't want to spoil it, but apparently it's actually like an actual thing that's happening, not like an Atari, Android box. It's an actual like system coming out. It's just, it's so weird. I don't know. No one can put their finger on what's actually happening here. But when we hear crowdfunding, people tend to turn and run,
My best guess would be Android type games from mobile plus newer games like Shovel Knight and things like that on there to go along with the retro aspect of the original Atari games, maybe in HD, I don't know.
They could do a thing just like Sega does, except you have to buy their box to get it specifically. They could do like a subscription service where you get X amount of Atari games every month or something on their box, or they could just release Atari games from everything, from the 5200 to 7800, the 800.
That's what they just said. There was like an official statement in the last 2 or 3 days, and it said that there's going to be 170 built-in Atari games. So
wow. They said that?
Yes, that's one of the official things, one of their statements. But even that doesn't, I mean, what does that mean? Because you think about it, there's a lot of games that are Atari branded that people don't think about. Like even Enter the Matrix is technically an Atari game. So who knows if that means all 8-bit or super pre 8-bit games.
Atari Jaguar, man.
Yeah, Atari Jaguar. We may have Doom on there, like the original Doom. Yeah. Like we have no idea. They just said 170, but
we don't even know what the controller looks like.
Yep. Yeah. So at this point, I'm sitting back with my speculation goggles on full blast because I don't know.
Yeah, it has 4 USB ports for some reason. Like, why does it need 4 USB ports?
You know, some of the Atari Jaguar games, you got Tempest 2000, Doom, Myst, Cybermorph, Wolfenstein 3D, Dragon's Lair, Alien vs. Predator, Flashback. You know, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they had something with Dragon Ball Z. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought Atari had some stake with some of those games from back in the day because you always see Atari pop up on the what is it, the Budokai series?
I think so.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like they have games that they
you're
can
right.
tech from, but I don't know if they wouldn't be Blockbuster. Like it wouldn't be like they wouldn't show up with like a Horizon Zero Dawn scale game or anything like that. Like that. But, I don't know. I look at it and it's weird. It doesn't make any sense. I wish they had just come out and said this is just an Android based box that will play our Atari games and then we'll bring over some good Android iOS games to it as well.
I think those words right now are pure toxic, though, because that's exactly what Ouya said. And I think the biggest games you got on there were like an Earthbound ripoff and a weird game where you played as a frog and got points for slamming your ass on stuff. So people don't like
it. It was a closed market, though, with that, right? Like the marketplace was closed.
No, it was very open. Well, it was open in that anybody could develop for it. And I think you could even like put stuff on a flash stick and just thumb drive it on there and it would run. Getting onto their marketplace and selling stuff through the Ouya store was closed, though. Yeah,
right. It wasn't like Google Play or anything like that.
Yeah,
is Ouya still a thing, or are they?
They're long dead. I think they even sold. Technically, they got bought out. They sold the company for like almost nothing. I think 16 months after launch. Like they realized that they were screwed, and so they got bought out as an idea group. So basically, a company bought them, and all the employees just work on other projects now.
Yeah, it's a shame. It was a cool idea leading up to launch. That was like one of the big original Kickstarters, wasn't it?
Yeah,
like that was what really got Kickstarter off the ground.
What's really cringy? I have a really bad photo. I may have to tweet it out for the next Throwback Thursday to make fun of myself. But I was at a convention when the first prototype Ouyas got sent out, and there was like a representative of Ouya that was in the corner with this like shmup. Playing shooting game, and I was so excited. I was like, "Can you take my picture with the Ouya?" So I have a picture with an Ouya.
Oh man,
it's the worst. And I just shaved my head for some reason. It's the worst. It's like, oh god.
Oh man, that's awesome.
And it was with the original controller before they actually fixed it, so it looks like a broken Xbox controller. It's like this giant. I'm like,
oh man,
the Ouya will show up with a bunch of all the other consoles that failed too. You got the Atari Jaguar, and you got the CDI, 3DO, Amiga, those consoles. You know.
Yeah, there's a lot they could pull from, but then they're going to be targeting people who are like 35 and up, basically, right? Like anywhere from 35 to 60, even 70-year-olds, I guess. They're not going to be targeting like really right now, I guess, like the young crowd that everybody wants to get to now before they get older and get jobs and everything. It's weird. I don't know. I mean, I know retro stuff is popular right now because of, it's popular now because it's retro, but I just don't think there's enough of a market there for them to build an entire game system around. But at least the system looks good. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to jump on the bandwagon of Nintendo and Sega. You got the Sega Genesis re-release coming out in September. The Super Nintendo Classic coming out too. Who knows?
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's jump over to the latest trademarks from Nintendo. I know Dave, you saw this because you posted on Twitter also when I saw that. I talked about a news wave, but we had an N64 controller trademark. The picture it's the other ones that were trademarked next to it was a Super Nintendo controller and Nintendo controller, both of which show up on the NES Classic and the Super Nintendo Classic that's coming out soon. The other one was a Switch. I feel like this is all either pointing to the Virtual Console or it's pointing to a Nintendo 64 Classic. I assume the Switch thing that they trademark can just go on accessories or anything like that if it's not used for any system or anything. I think that's just a generic like wire picture that they have that they can put on anything they want, or maybe it is part of the Virtual Console and they'll have that as like a symbol for the Virtual Console when you go in. But it's interesting. I mean, Dave, do you think this is a 64 Classic coming?
Yes.
Same here. So we actually had this exact same thing happen. People may not remember this, but back before the NES Classic got announced, people saw the exact same patent filed, and people started asking Nintendo questions about it, and it just suddenly disappeared. The patent just like went invisible. They filed it away. So I think like now the fact that we saw this again with the SNES, and now we're seeing with the Nintendo 64, it is just such a clear pattern. I would bet anything the fact that N64 is being made right now.
But this brings up a whole list of questions, though, doesn't it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Rare.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody, see, this is I talked about this before. A lot of people don't know this, but GoldenEye was almost a thing on the 360 to the point where it's almost finished. If you go on YouTube, you can watch an entire like playthrough of like half an hour of the game where they had it so you could switch between like old graphics and new graphics. And the problem ended up being that Nintendo and Microsoft, I guess, could not come to an agreement to get this game out, so they just shelved it and scrapped it. But Nintendo seems different now than they were back years ago. So there's a chance that maybe, I mean, we're playing, I mean, you can use Minecraft and play against Xbox people. You know, you can do Rocket League, the same thing.
Yeah, but even recently, because remember there was a big kerfuffle when Rare Replay came out, because it has all the best Nintendo 64 like Rare games, but there was not GoldenEye. And there was an official statement where Microsoft said like, look, a lot of the music and a lot of those levels actually are owned by Nintendo, and we went to them asking for it, and they just flat out said no. So
right, but do you think Microsoft would say yes though if Nintendo went there and said, "Hey, we want to put this on there. We'll include you as a licensing partner. We're working together on Minecraft, even Rocket League to a degree." Do you think they go there and say, "Hey, let's get this done"? It's going to make a ton of money, obviously, because everybody's going to buy the N64. I think the N64 Classic, believe it or not, would be the best-selling one out of all of them because it's so unbelievable. Because even Nintendo 64 emulation is still not good.
Yeah,
you know. And if you slap GoldenEye on there, you know, the first time ever released outside of the Nintendo 64 to the public as a re-released game. Yeah, I mean, really, if you look at it, the ARM processors they might use would probably have to be upgraded some, but they could do things like fix that weird anti-aliasing that went on with the 64. They could actually make it look good on a high-def TV.
There's all kinds of problems they have with the emulation. I think you got the font problem, you have the widescreen problem, you have the controller input problems. It's just a whole list of, and then incompatibility, like, you know, Conker's Bad Fur Day. You can barely get that thing to run.
The weird layering. There's like the really bad layering thing of like when you're playing Majora's Mask on an emulator, a lot of times the buttons won't say anything on them and stuff. It'll just be like, or they'll just be invisible. Your screen will not have a proper interface.
Yep. But, you know, like I said, if they let's say they put like 20 games on there, 25 games maybe. One of them's GoldenEye. The others are all some of the classics that we all, maybe Conker's makes it on there. I'm not sure how that would be. That'd be, who do you call it? That? Yeah, Rare. I don't know if they'd be able to get that on there. Again, though, if they're working with Microsoft, maybe Microsoft actually collaborates with Nintendo on the 64, which would be, like, I think amazing. Like, let's say we get the 64 Classic box and Microsoft's logo is on the back along with some of the other partners.
I could see that happening. At this, Nintendo or Microsoft is really opening up the floodgates. At this point, they're very much of like, as long as it says Microsoft on the box, you can sell it.
Yeah,
I don't think Microsoft cares right now, but Nintendo does. I think they need to be more, you know, the ones changing things with Microsoft. I don't think Microsoft cares too much.
But is it possible that Nintendo blocked them on the GoldenEye thing a while ago because they did have this idea of a Nintendo 64 Classic at some point with GoldenEye plastered on the front?
I don't think it was that. I do think that Nintendo just was all systems go on the development of the Switch, and they were just trying to build those walls to like pave their own path. Because at that point, the Wii U was doing so bad, there was no road before them. So I think at that point, they were like, okay, we're not sure if we're going to need this again. We cannot give away this ace yet. We don't know if we're going to be launching with Virtual Console and need one of the biggest Nintendo 64 games on there. We don't know. So I think they just blocked them because of that.
Well, one of the rumors I heard back in the day was the Wii had the best Virtual Console of all so far. It had so many games, like 1,000 games or something like that, some crazy amount. But they wanted to get GoldenEye on 64 on the Wii Virtual Console, but at the same time, Microsoft wanted to get it on the 360. But the problem was that the superior version would have been on the 360 because it's going to be in HD redone. The Wii version may have not been as good. So the rumor was that Nintendo was just like, no, you know, we only want it on the Wii. We're not going to, you know, let you have it on the 360, you know. So that was the rumor at the time, and I don't know what happened. And then they released GoldenEye remade. on all systems.
And it turned out really bad.
They do some licensing things there, right? Because they changed out Pierce Brosnan and everything.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. And I heard it was really bad. It had to be Daniel Craig. They had to redo all the music. I think some of the original music was actually owned by Nintendo, so it was all really bad. I think all the levels had to get changed out. I didn't play it very much. I tinkered around with it for like 10 minutes at a Best Buy once, but I heard that the remake was actually super bad.
It was an average game. It wasn't anything like the original GoldenEye. So I think they tried and failed with the original one, and they couldn't come to agreement. So they're like, let's just redo it and see what happens. But yeah, that was sad.
Yeah, but the audience is there. Like people would, I think, lose their mind. Probably more so than they lost their mind with Star Fox 2, more than likely, because one, again, the N64 emulation is not good. The Super Nintendo emulation is like perfect at this point. You can play Super Nintendo games and they look better now than they do on the Super Nintendo. 64 though, man, not there yet. But Nintendo could figure out a way to build a perfect emulator because they know their hardware.
Yeah.
They pay people a lot of money to engineer these things.
And they could also bring over, so it was interesting, on the Wii U, we had a couple games that were Japanese exclusive N64 games that were considered some of the most highly coveted and most imported N64 games. Yep. One of them being Sin and Punishment.
Sin and Punishment
that game is so good. If they put Sin and Punishment on the Nintendo 64 Mini, it is going to sell like crazy. I'm going to have to just live stream that whole game start to finish. It is that's
a good game.
It is so good, yeah.
Yep, they could do a lot of stuff. They could even pull, it sounds crazy, but they could pull stuff from the N64 DD maybe. Yeah. Like, as weird as that sounds, they could grab one of the weird games that they had on there. There was one where you were a giant or something.
Yeah,
I believe they had F-Zero, like an expanded version.
Yes, it was F-Zero, and it had a freaking map builder. You could actually go in there and make your own courses. And apparently it was really popular in Japan, and they just ended up being like, look, this is one popular game on a system that's not being very well. We're not going to worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, wasn't there like a Mario 64 2 or something that was planned for it, and they scrapped that?
I don't know about that. I think it was like an expansion. I do know that the whole Master Quest, which was released, the like super hard version of Ocarina of Time that they ended up putting on the GameCube later, that was originally made for the N64 DD.
Okay, gotcha.
I think they had expanded multiplayer for Super Mario 64 on the DD version, is what it was. I think. That never was released.
Yeah. And of course, they'll finally bring us that unreleased, unfinished Earthbound 64, right? That we've seen screenshots of.
They should release the original Final Fantasy VII demo they had from Square Enix.
Yep, I saw an interview where the guy talked about how he made that, and he basically was just like, because that never really existed. He goes like, it's a video you can watch, but people who think that was a game, it's not. We just literally were like, can we make 3D graphics on this? We can? Okay, cool. Let's never talk about this again.
So what's the game you guys would want to see on the 64 minus GoldenEye, minus Sin and Punishment? I mean, other than obviously Mario 64, is there any 164 game that you would love to see them put on there?
Yoshi, the Yoshi, because I like that game somewhat, but I also feel like it's just one that'll help the console sell a lot. I want this.
It ran at 60 frames per second too.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things. If I want this to be a big success, I think this mini series is really, really cool. So that's one that I know will really, really help that thing fly off shelves.
Sure. What do you think, Dave? Any ones jumping out to you?
Maybe Diddy Kong Racing, the original.
That's a good one.
That was also rare, but I mean, come on, they got to do something here. Yeah, that's the problem with all these licenses they have issues with. It's crazy.
Yeah. 2017 is complicated, but dude, I totally thought of one. One of the rarest N64 games, and one I haven't beaten yet, and I've been wanting to, is Ogre Battle 64. They should totally put Ogre Battle 64 on there.
Wow. Sure. Who owns that? Is that? Who is that? Who owns that?
I want to say it's Konami or somebody. I should know. It's on my shelf. I have all the other Ogre Battle games, but I don't know that.
That's a great game. Yeah, we used to see that one coming to the store all the time.
Man, I look for it occasionally, and it's always like $85 without a freaking.
See, when we had it, it was like $40. That was a while ago. We had that in the manual with the box at one point too.
That's like the one
store. Yeah.
I always tell myself, all right, I'm done collecting. I have 1,000 games. I don't need any more. And then I see Ogre Battle, and I'm like, just one more hit, baby, and I'll be all right.
You know, there's also licensing issues with Star Wars too. Rogue Squadron, the original game, I would love to see that.
Oh yeah,
my goodness.
Yeah. There's no way, man. Disney has such a tight grip on that. There's no way in hell they would let that exist.
Evan, what do you think? What are you thinking, Evan?
Well, I mean, it is the bulk of the rare games. Would be amazing if they could do it. But But beyond that, for the co-op interest, it probably Jet Force Gemini, just because I really did enjoy playing that. But I did see it in chat, and I did think it would be really interesting if they brought back Pokemon Stadium. But on this version of the console, it was somehow updated to include even the more recent of the Pokemon games in that engine. It'd be so interesting.
Sure, they can get creative with it. I would probably say I would be interested to see if Capcom would talk to them and they were able to bring in Mega Man 64 and slap that on there.
Mega Man 64 would be good. And also, let's not forget the worst version of Resident Evil 2. We could totally get that back with its super blurry visuals.
That's true. But if they clean the blurry visuals up and it has no load times, that'd be cool. Honestly, that was a marvel to get on that 64 cartridge. That was amazing to be able to get that on there because that was a massive
128 meg cartridge. Yeah,
yeah, that's impressive there. But they had the cutscenes too, didn't it?
It did. But the audio was basically screwed. It was like that first one when you walk in the gun shop and the guy talks to you. He's like, "What are you doing here?" And it's like, is that a robot? Is this a speak and spell?
How far did that came out after the PS1 version, didn't it?
Yes, it came out long after it. It definitely seemed like one of those ones of Capcom was trying to just get everywhere they could at the time, and they're like, okay, cool. This thing is selling crazy well, because there's like 3 different versions of Resident Evil 2, and then they released a Nintendo 64 one as well.
Do you think they just walked into the office and like slapped those discs down and they're like, we need to put this all on one N64 disc? And you think the developer just laughed at them and then they're like, oh, you're serious?
Well, remember, because the Resident Evil developers absolutely hated porting stuff for a long time. I don't remember, you guys may recall, there was that quote when they just finished making Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube, and somebody in an interview said, will we ever see this on PlayStation 2? And the guy said, I'd rather they chop my head off, because it was just so stressful. He was like, no, I'm not going to redo this. Oh my God. And
then,
I thought of a game. Guys. Okay. Really rare game on N64, StarCraft 64.
Ooh, that would be crazy. Look of a mouse to it.
You get to play an RTS with a controller again.
I'm the one person in the world. I like that. I actually really like that version because you can assign like building troops to your C keys, and I actually liked being able to just be like, okay, I need a bunch of people real fast. It was awesome.
It played better than people thought. Yeah, it was a really strange game they had on the N64, but I loved it. I bought it, and you can't really find it anymore very well in the stores. Obviously, it's really rare.
Yeah.
So let's jump over. We talked about the MPD sales a little bit, but we didn't talk much about one company, and that is Microsoft. So their hardware sales are down pretty badly right now. They're actually down, according to them, 29%. From year on year, and the trend is not good for them right now. It's kind of going down. Like, I mean, the Switch, which has massive supply shortages, has been outselling the Xbox One in the MPDs, as far as we can tell, every month so far. And the United States is supposed to be Xbox's like battlegrounds. They were selling alongside the PS4 in the United States until like a couple months back, and now it's kind of like, if you look at the graph, the lines are kind of separating like this now, where we're seeing a clear dominance by the PS4 in what is supposed to be Microsoft's. I mean, it's built in, by a United States company, a US company, in Microsoft, but the foreign consoles are kind of taken over now. Like the Japanese consoles are clearly selling more.
So,
I was
going to say, what's really strange is, so I was looking at their profit reports, and what's really strange is, even though their consoles are selling worse and worse, Microsoft's profits are actually going up. Now, I want to make this very clear. They're still not healthy. They're not in a good range, but they are actually managing to swing back into their favor right now. I mean, it's not enough to probably win the console war, but it's at a point now where the people who already own their consoles seem to be buying more games and getting Xbox Game Pass. It seems like they're subscribing to more services and buying a bunch of stuff. So
yeah, I mean, that's kind of how Microsoft wanted to go anyway. I mean, they were talking about how the software sales helped even that out, instead of it being 29% like lost over that, to be like 3%, because their software sales were so much.
Yeah.
It's just interesting because they're kind of going the wrong direction, and they're starting to kind of run into when they're going to release a very expensive system on the market. I mean, look at the Xbox One, for example. Right now, you can get them for what, $250 now minimum, or easily you can find them for $250. Sometimes you find them on sale for like $200 or $220. But if you look at like the sales like in Japan, I don't think Microsoft will ever be able to break into Japan, like ever, because what do they sell, like 100 consoles if they're lucky in a week?
Yeah.
And I mean, how much do you think a $500 Xbox One X is going to sell in Japan? Like, do we finally see single-digit Media Create sales from Microsoft? Is that possible?
It's going to sell One X 9.
Yeah.
One Japanese hipster will buy it to be ironic, and that'll be it.
Yeah, that's I don't know. It seems weird on that end. And then I don't even know how many people in the States are going to buy it to the extent that they'll buy just the regular Xbox One, if they even buy that. Because we see the Switch outsell it by, I mean, those leaked numbers that you were talking about, Dave, the Switch still outsold the Xbox One by like 80,000, 90,000 units or something like that.
Yeah, I think about 65,000.
Yeah,
like 250
it was
to 150.
Yeah, it was a healthy amount, right? And the Switch is heavily supply constrained, doesn't have the number of games that Xbox One does, and the Xbox One S is technically a great system for the price because it plays ultra high def Blu-rays.
Something. Well, I think it's a combination of a couple things with Xbox One. Is that Microsoft announced Scorpio a year ago, right?
Yes.
It still hasn't come out yet. So, and then they released Xbox One S last holiday. It sold really well at first. And then people started seeing the Xbox One X, in May or April from Digital Foundry, and they started getting, yeah. So perhaps sales have been stagnated because people are looking forward to buying a new system. Now they announced the price, $500. People are like, Xbox brand, Maybe they're a little bit soft on it right now. Plus the games, there's no really great exclusives right now on the Xbox One. Personally, I don't see any. If you guys know of any, I don't know, but Sony has a lot of great exclusives right now. You have just announced Nier Automata just passed 500,000 sold on PC alone, and they're selling really well on PS4.
Mm-hmm.
And all these other exclusives they have too on PS4. It's kind of like, and then you got Nintendo coming in with their exclusives. You see in the shift a little bit of maybe the Xbox being the odd one left out instead of Nintendo currently.
I don't even think
maybe
they buy a lot of 4K TVs in Japan either. I don't think they do. I remember seeing the sales numbers for it at the beginning of the year, and it wasn't a lot of, like, most of the TVs. A lot of Japanese families, from what I was reading, don't buy like multiple TVs like we do here in the States, where if you don't have a TV in your room, you're behind the times.
Yeah.
Like, most of us have TVs at like 5 TVs per household or something crazy. It gets insane. How many TVs do I have? I think I have like 6.
I have 5. Well, I have 6 if you count my retro TV in my office.
I mean, if you start counting my monitors with HDMI, then I'm in trouble, because then it's like a lot. But like, they don't buy that many over there. They're definitely about portable, as we see with the Switch or cell phones or even the Vita. They still sell massive amounts of Vitas over there for what's happening.
It's true.
And it's like,
the biggest problem with the Xbox One X, as I see it, is that it's not a good jumping on point. The only people that are going to buy it are people who probably already have an Xbox One. They're just going to upgrade it to the Xbox One X. Whereas if you look at the PlayStation 4 Pro, Sony has said that 1 in 5 people who buy a new PlayStation 4 are buying the PS4 Pro. 20% of their total people base is ridiculously good. So it's showing that means new people who are getting a next-gen console for the first time are actually getting pros pretty often, because it is just a small bump up in price point. Whereas I don't think there's anybody right now who's sitting there with an Xbox 360 who's planning on jumping to the Xbox One X. I just think they're shooting for the moon.
Yeah, that's what I think it's going to be a 1 in 8. Worst case scenario would be a 1 in 10.
Yeah.
Where it's at 10%, because it is a massive difference, especially if they do what I think they're going to do and drop the Xbox One base model to $200 at holiday. I think they're going to bank on selling tons of those. And what they're going to do is they're not going to tell us how many X's sell. They're just going to tell us how many Xbox Ones total sell. Yeah. They're not going to tell us. And they're going to make that number look really good by saying we sold 400,000 Xbox Ones, November or even December, and then going forward, it's like, 300, and really there's like maybe 10,000 of those are Xbox One X's. I just don't feel like I'm going to go to Walmart when I go buy one, and I from what I'm talking to everyone, I might be one of the only people I know buying one.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to buy one, my own personal money, and it's just because I want to test it. I'll be honest, my plan is to get an Xbox One X day one, just spend a solid week playing every single thing I can in 1080p to see how much I can notice it, do some graphics comparison videos, and see if it's worth it. And then after I make a video, I don't know, it's just going to sit there. I don't do that.
Or you're just going to look at it and just cry.
Yeah. I mean, it looks really cool, but I feel like most people will walk in are going to think that I bought a DVD player.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't even look that much different from the Slim. They're just going to think you got a different colored Xbox One S.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently it weighs a lot though, but that's gonna. I mean, I'm going to take it apart, obviously, but
yeah, I think their biggest issue is getting some software exclusives. Really, to get someone, get more people to buy them. Got to have the software.
But here's the problem: all of them are going to show up on the PC.
Yeah,
they don't care.
There is a base of people like myself, though, who play every PC game I can on consoles. Like, I'll be honest, I'm very much looking forward to reviewing PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds on the Xbox One. And I just don't think that's a video many people are going to make. So I personally want to buy it and test it out and see, are there enough Xbox players that'll be playing on it? Are they going to try and blend servers with PC and everybody gets slaughtered? So I don't know. I'm excited for the idea that some PC games are going to jump over to Xbox One that might not jump to PS4. I mean,
sure, but if you look at like someone like Evan, for example, if he walks into a store, he's a PC gamer, he's going to buy the PS4. He's not going to buy the Xbox One.
Yeah, there's zero reason.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're not going to convert any of the PC gamers. The PC gamers when walk into a store, to be honest, are probably, believe it or not, going to buy a Switch. That's probably what they're going to buy. Evan, the system you're most interested in is the Switch, as you've said several times. Because the PS4, while it has games that might not be on the PC, it doesn't have a ton of games that are on the PC. I mean, it does. It has games like Persona, even though that's on the PS3 technically as well. But you look at the Xbox One, and I don't see any reason Evan would buy an Xbox One. I just as an example, I'm using you as an example, Evan, as a PC gamer, but I don't see any reason. Yeah. I just don't like $500 to you. You're looking at $500, and it's turning in your mind into like a 1080 Ti, or 1080, and it's not turning into an Xbox One X in your mind. I don't know. I think the PC market is getting very large. People who just have PCs, and the Switch, I think, is turning into a very good companion system. So if you have a PS4 and you want that Nintendo game, we'll just buy the Switch because it also fulfills my need for a handheld system. So I think Nintendo is going to have pretty consistent sales going forward as long as they do what they do best, which is bring Nintendo games in. Sony will continue to bring in Japanese-influenced games, probably localize them, and continue to just make, God of War, Ratchet and Clank, Gran Turismo, all of those games. And then, some new ones like Days Gone and Spider-Man. Spider-Man was a great idea on their part, by the way, to bring him in as a Sony exclusive. And then I just look at Microsoft. I just don't know what they're going to bring in that I couldn't just buy on my PC here, for example. Maybe they're content with that. Maybe they're fine with you buying it on your PC because they already have you. You own $100 to $200 version of Windows. What do they care?
Well, they have an official statement as of, I think, a month ago. Microsoft has an official statement where they basically said, stop saying we don't have enough games. We totally have enough games. Like there was like one of the head Xbox executives. It wasn't Phil Spencer, but somebody said, we're totally fine with our current game library. And I think it's enough to keep our audience happy. And it's like, are you talking to them very often? Have they been returning your calls?
Well, they're fine with it, right? I mean, that's all they care about.
Yeah.
They'll be fine with it until their Xbox Live memberships start to fall.
Yeah.
And then there's a problem. Because that's where their money is. It's an Xbox Live. It's selling you something that, I mean, people, again, PC gamers enjoy for free. They're selling it to you for $60 a year. And I don't see how, if their Xbox starts to go away, how they would continue that on the PC. I don't think, like, Evan, you would never buy an Xbox Live Pass for $60 a year on your PC.
Hell no.
when you can play all the games anyway, like Gigantic you talked about, that's something you just play without paying. I don't know how they would continue that service away from the Xbox.
Xbox Game Pass. Think about if it's a thing that you actually pay for on PC and you can only play, like, imagine if they brought over like even Halo 3 or Halo 5 onto PC, but you had to pay $5 a month. I do think that there is a big audience of people who would basically pay Microsoft Netflix.
Sure. I mean, that's very possible. I don't know if that's enough to keep Microsoft interested in the game at that point. I don't think they would create games anymore. I think they would harbor third-party games on there and bring their old library up, but I don't think they're going to then go, well, let's throw $100 million at Halo 7 and bring that in.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah, so unless they had a massive interest in that, unless they made it so that like streaming games became seamless, and then you can play it on whatever terrible laptop you have, and then it becomes interesting. But right now we're still not there with our archaic internet here in the United States for us to do that. Like, ping is not there yet, and it's just not feasible. But maybe it will be one day, and then they can move to that. I mean, that's what I think all of them want to move to. I don't think any of these companies want to make game consoles. I just think they want to be able to sell you stuff, and the game console is a stepping stone to get there.
Yeah,
exactly.
So if they didn't have to make a game console and they could just magically sell you games that you could just magically play, that's all they would do. They wouldn't spend the money to R&D these things.
Yes, it's a cost a lot. I was going to say real quick on your earlier point about PC gamers leaning really heavily towards Switch. I definitely wanted to say, yeah, I have a bunch of friends who are super deep into competitive PC gaming. They like actually travel around and go to tournaments and stuff. They're all preparing for the big Quake Champions tournament coming up here in a couple weeks, and they all own Nintendo Switches. That's just like the thing now of like, okay, this is my Zelda machine, and it plays Mario Kart, and we can all play together, and then the rest of the time I'm playing serious competitive games. So it's like become the companion.
But it's like I look at it's almost like they look at the Switch as like relaxing time.
Yep, 100%. Yeah.
So
it's the like, 3DS to most people now.
Isn't it amazing? Because originally video games were designed for as an escape from reality to relax with, and now we're to a point where they see some games like competitive games as work, and then they see Nintendo again as a relaxing game to play. It's interesting. And then you see Mario Odyssey come out, which is, by the way, going to push an obscene amount of Switches out the door. That game looks like that would spark a lot of childhood memories with Mario again. So I'm excited for it. But yeah, I think that's perfect. I think a lot of PC gamers who maybe don't care about console games, they probably do care about the Switch. I've seen it firsthand, like you're saying. So, and I think that's a good spot for Nintendo. As much as people want them to build an Xbox One X, I think they're content where they are as being a companion system for a lot of people, because really at this point you need to pretty much own a PS4 and a Switch, because not all the third-party games are going to go to the Switch. Like Kingdom Hearts 3 is not going to the Switch right now, if at all. But if you have a PS4, you can play Kingdom Hearts here, and then you can play Mario over here.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just don't feel like I'm missing a lot with the Xbox. Mine is Halo, but how long until Halo shows up on the PC?
Yeah, well, it already exists in Russia.
In Russia, yeah, they canceled that though, sadly. But I almost wanted to set up a proxy just to try it out.
Yeah, I put my friends who compete in games all the time. I would go over their house occasionally, and they would play that online a lot. So it was weird because it was all in English. They had like an English patch for it, so you could play it totally fine. It was really weird to see.
People are saying they pre-ordered in the chat. They pre-ordered Mario Odyssey right away. I pre-ordered Mario Odyssey the day they announced the Switch with my Switch. So yeah. I've had Mario Odyssey pre-ordered for quite a while now.
That should have been a day one pre-ordered for anybody, any Nintendo fan.
Yeah, that game is going to sell crazy amounts too.
Somebody was saying that they're super excited for the amiibos when it comes to Odyssey, since they can make like dinosaur amiibo Mario. It's like, yep, those are all going to sell really hot as well.
Yeah, I'm not a big amiibo fan, to be honest, but I understand why people like to collect them. It's almost like figurines kind of too, if you look at it that way. I get that. I mean, it's great on Nintendo's part because it's a great way to disguise DLC, but I mean, it works. I mean, if I was in their position, I was like, I can release figures and people will buy them and they do things in the game. Yeah, let's make them.
They just released the Bayonetta one, right?
Yep. Yep. So there was a Cloud one or something like that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That was the 4 released yesterday, and people were taking pictures of it. There was Splatoon Boy, Splatoon Girl, Bayonetta, and Cloud.
Yeah, it's amazing that people love buying those. But hey, again, if I was in their shoes, I would do the exact same thing. And if people enjoy it, they're not even like super expensive, right? They're like $13 for an amiibo.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I went to Walmart and they had all the Tom Nook and Animal Crossing ones out for like $2 on clearance.
Yeah. The only one I've ever bought was Waluigi, since I love Waluigi so much.
I happened to get when it first came out. This is really funny. When amiibos first came out, I was looking at them and I was trying to figure out which one to get. And Evan, which one did you tell me to get?
The Villager, man.
The Villager.
You didn't believe me either.
That was a rare one.
Yeah, that can't be the one that I get.
So I go to Walmart, right? And I go there, and the entire amiibo section is ravished. All of the Mario games are gone. Mario amiibos are gone. This is hilarious now to think about it. There was stacks of Wii U Trainer, who I think are the trainer.
Yeah, Wii U Trainer.
Yeah. That one was rare, I thought, for a while. And then under all of these Yoshis and stuff that were strewn everywhere, there was one Villager. And I grabbed him and I bought him for $13 to take him home. I opened him, and then like 2 months later, people were so mad at me for opening him.
Yeah, couldn't find you anywhere.
I remember, so the day that Majora's Mask came out on the 3DS, I didn't have a pre-order, and I was like, man, what am I going to do? And so someone told me, like, you should just stand outside Toys R Us. Toys R Us is just a first come, first serve. They don't do pre-orders, so just stand outside Toys R Us. They open at 10 a.m. That's pretty late. I was like, okay, fine. So I'm standing outside Toys R Us. I was like, I'll show up about 30 minutes later. There was this huge crowd of just, like, sweaty, middle-aged men, and I'm like, what the hell? So I stand at the back of the line, and it turns out all of them were there for some new amiibo that came out that day. And literally, as soon as the store opened, everybody marched in a straight line like ants to the back of the store, and everybody just each bought one amiibo and walked out. I was like, hi, I'd like to actually buy a game, please.
Dude, it turned into like battle royales at one point. If there were 4 amiibos and 10 people there, it got ugly sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're in quite as demand anymore, are they?
No, they're not
quite the same.
There was some like what was it? There was a strike for the people who were unloading boats or something, like the dock strike or something, and that affected it. It was some weird political type thing between like the unions.
The GameStop right next to my house used to cut me all these deals. I was like friends with the manager, so he used to like do all these special coupons to give me extra trading credit and stuff. And I went in there one day and he wasn't in there, and I was like, where'd he go? And like this other guy I'd never seen before, he said, oh, I'm the district manager. I had to fire him. I was like, what happened? He goes, we found out that he was actually like putting 15 special pre-orders on every single one of the rare amiibos. That way they could sell out of stock before they ever went to the floor. He was smuggling amiibos and selling for like hundreds of dollars of profit. And I was like, what the fuck? What? He was an amiibo smuggler.
Was he like taping amiibos like under his girlfriend's shirt, like in the back room, and having her walk out the front door?
I was asking questions, and it sounded what he was doing is he was pre-ordering stuff under like 15 fake names because they were having pre-order limits where you could only pre-order 2 per month or something, and he would basically make up a bunch of names, turn off the security cameras, ring them all up for himself, and then put them on eBay for like $30 a piece, and he'd make hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. It's like, what? That's insane.
Yeah, the turnover at GameStops is insane, by the way. When I worked there, I saw so many managers come and go. It was insanity, which is really funny because if you're a store manager there, they have an annual Vegas show.
Yeah.
And they fly you out to Vegas and you just party with like all the executives for like a week straight. Like I'm talking like they're pouring like champagne on each other and stuff. And it's just absolutely insane. It's just like GameStop. They're supposed to be talking to I've talked to quite a few of them that did it, but they're supposed to be talking to like executives and other GameStop managers from everywhere about business. But it's never like that. They spend like 2 hours of the day at like a conference, and then they all just do Vegas stuff after that.
We had that. I ran a bookstore for 6 years, and we would do that as well. We would be like, okay, guys, it's the annual, we called it Train-a-thon, and we'd fly everybody in and stay at a hotel. And even though it was in town, I'd go to the hotel too and just hang out there, and everybody would just be like, woo, they're paying for our drinks and food. So everybody's just having crazy parties and getting drunk. But okay, what's your shittiest employee?
Yeah. Like it was to a point where I don't understand why GameStop complains about funds when they have to drop massive amount of money on that in that 1 week.
Yeah.
On flying everyone into Vegas and hotels and all this stuff.
Yeah. I want to do it.
It's like don't have a party.
A buddy of mine was working in accounting for several years for GameStop, and he said it is horrible. So I've been trying to talk him into doing an interview with me, like even if he's anonymous. I just want to do like, because I don't run my own podcast, but I do want to do like a podcast style, like 2-hour interview once where it's like, tell me the numbers, tell me how bad GameStop is doing, like tell me the nitty gritty, like were people just being beheaded in the parking lot? Tell me how bad it was.
Which you could put him in like where he's like, it's like all blacked out. It's like a shadow.
Black and it's like,
and the gargle's voice.
He's like, that's when they punched me with a copy of Wii Trainer. I
will say, when we were at GameStop, if you were at least an assistant if you were just there were so many titles for us. There was Game Advisor, and then there was like it's assistant manager. It was some name for it too. But if you were like not the bottom of the barrel, you could look at the sales for the entire store.
Yeah.
Like you could actually see all the numbers, and you could take pictures, you could write them down. So we would always know how well we were doing. But when I was there, we were doing well. Like it was like they would do like $4,000 a day.
Yeah.
That's good.
Which is good. Yeah. There were a few days where I remember one day, I feel like it was Call of Duty 4. I feel like when we did the countdown at the end of the day, I think it was 70 grand in cash.
Yeah.
Well, because I had to go deposit it.
We had that. So I worked at the third largest bookstore in the world. It was a giant one, and so because it would get a lot of rare items in. And at one point, we got a signed JFK book, and it had an actual letter of him about his concerns for the presidency. And I think we put it out for like $20,000, and it sold in about 30 minutes. And so I remember we had to have like an armed guard basically carried out to his car. So. Sorry, I know that's like business talk instead of video game talk. Sorry, but you know,
that's crazy.
It was just one of those rare times where you're like, wow, there's a one-of-a-kind item being sold for more money than I'm probably going to make this year. Super duper.
Nice.
I think if you ask anybody, they have their own story about GameStop. There's always there's always something that crazy that goes on there. Seems like.
Yep.
Well, this is hilarious because it looks like GameStop is going to be on its way out sooner than we thought. Because did you see
something new happen again?
Well, did you see Ubisoft's earnings report?
No.
So, according to them, their sales total for all their games across all platforms, everything, was digital. So only 20% was physical. So then you got to take that 20 and spread it out between Walmart's, Target's, GameStop's.
Jesus.
Best Buy.
Yeah, Best Buy. So GameStop, who's already having a hard time because, Best Buy and Amazon offer 20% off. I have to imagine GameStop is in some serious trouble if we're seeing digital sales take off like they are, because it could be sooner than later where these systems don't even have disk drives.
Yeah.
Well, it's so weird.
We're getting to that point.
Haven't they learned anything from Blockbuster Video? I mean, they had all kinds of trouble, Blockbuster, and now they're pretty much gone, right? I mean, so GameStop, they should have been figured something out long time ago, like with the last generation.
I think that's why they bought ThinkGeek. I know that.
They bought ThinkGeek, and they bought, what is that stupid, shitty free-to-play? It's like cell phone games on a website.
Oh, no, that's right. Yeah, they're trying to get into, publishing mobile games or something.
Yeah, well, they have what is it called? Game Trust. That's how they published. I wish I was joking about the name. It's called Game Trust, which basically says, give us your money. And they published, what was that swimming game? I even reviewed it, and I forgot the name. How forgettable is that? It was like an underwater Metroidvania.
Oh wow, jeez, yeah. So that's where we are now. It seems like GameStop, more so now than before, is just kind of like scattershotting, just trying to figure out what sticks at this point. Anything, any way we can make money.
I think they closed 100 stores recently too, didn't they? Or more than
300
that?
stores.
300
stores. Yeah, and they I think they had 6,000 stores, so they're not like gone overnight or anything, but. When you start closing stores, it becomes an exponential thing. Not like they're going to close 300 stores, a year for the next 20 years. It's like 3,000, and then it's gone.
They're trying to diversify, but I think they're watering down their own poison so much. Like they also bought Cricket, which is like a wireless company, a cell phone company here in America, and they're trying to just fill their stores with so much merch. I go in there and they've literally barricaded it, so you have to walk through like this tiny little path through like 15 different shitty Suicide Squad shirts before you're able to look at a game. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, dude, half the store is like clothes and backpacks and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not even video games.
Yeah.
To be honest, I haven't been in a GameStop in like 3 or 4 years.
Just go there and check it out. Just go there and check it out. See, you don't have to buy anything. It's bad.
Be real brutal to the employees and be like, "Oh, I just wanted to check out this graveyard."
Oh man,
that's
for free. I'll come back later.
Yeah. Oh man. I don't know. I feel like we're gonna see GameStop go away very soon. If next generation doesn't do them in, it might be the following when inevitably we get rid of disk drives altogether and it's all download.
Well, the same thing happened at Blockbuster. Remember, they started closing 100 stores at a time, and all of a sudden, hey, we're gone.
It was gone overnight, but Netflix really did them in. This Game Pass is going to hurt GameStop big time because that takes away from all of their pre-owned sales because they're all older games on Game Pass.
Yeah, or all. I mean, Sony's crazy PSN sales are just nuts. Like I know I mentioned that before, but one of the only things I ever buy from GameStop, and it's just because it's across the street, is PSN cards. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. That is what 99% of my trips are: walking in there, picking up a couple $20 cards, and then like buying those and leaving. Because almost everything I could possibly want is 1/3 the cost digitally. So it's like I'm not gonna pay $45 for a disc if I can get it for $15 digitally.
Yeah, it's not even like they're a small company, like they're a small business, because I would at least feel bad. I'd be like, well, maybe I should go buy something from that mom and pop store across the street today. Because a lot of the mom and pop stores that are near us anyway have like retro games. Like there's one that's like 15, 20 minutes away from me. And they have like everything. They have everything back to the Atari, and it's really cool to go in there and look at that. And then I feel the need, to buy something from them because they're trying to make it. But like to go into GameStop and look around, I'm like, I don't feel the need to buy anything because you guys are a big corporate chain and it feels that way. So
well, a lot of times people are going to these stores looking for retro games, right? So a lot of these mom and pop stores, like you said, they have these retro games you can't find anywhere. You go there and you don't really want to go to GameStop because you can just go to, some place that offers a much wider selection and better offers like Best Buy.
Yeah. I mean, once Best Buy incorporated the 20% off, and Amazon did too, you don't have to leave the house. You just order on Amazon if you want, and you get it.
There's something real interesting. I don't know if you ever watch Pat the NES Punk has his own podcast called the Completely Unnecessary Podcast. I really like it. One of the co-hosts, Ian, is a manager of a mom and pop video game shop.
He's of Luna video games.
Yeah, and he said in a recent podcast that they've just been killing GameStop even more ever since they started listing their prices online. They now tell you how much it's going to sell for in every single store and what they'll give you trade-in credits. And so straight up, they said that they'll go on there and they'll go, okay, they're selling this game on sale for $50, so let's just sell it for $40 to screw them. Like, it's our used copy. It's all profit to us anyway. So they said, like, okay, they're giving $25 trade-in credit, so let's put out a sign that says we're giving $30 trade-in credit. Like, they were just straight up being like, wow, it's really easy to kill them if you know that beat for beat we're going to outdo every deal you do.
Hey, and we won't put that sticker on the box either, like GameStop.
Yes. Oh God, I hate that.
Really, if you just don't open your games and put them out, like where they gut them and they put out the new game. If you just make box art or just keep them behind the counter, you got one up on them already.
Do you remember that really big deal? This is a couple of years ago now, but I remember there was this really big deal of GameStop got permission. They got exclusive permission to do a full reprint of Xenoblade on the Wii, and it was like a really big deal of like, wow, this is so cool. But they were like, these guys are going to be brand new copies, guys. We have to sell them for $60 a piece. But then they opened them all and put them in stores open, and people were like,
what's the
why
sticker?
am I buying a $60 new game that you've opened and messed with when I can like buy it online for $50 sealed? That was so dumb.
And a lot of stores were selling for $79.99 too, if you noticed.
Yep.
So I'm gonna let everybody in on a secret too, which you probably already know. When I worked at GameStop, if a game came out, I remember BioShock came out, the first one, and we got them in new. And one of the policies with GameStop, at least when I was there, they probably still do it, was you're allowed to take games home for like 3 days and play them. We would take home new games all the time. We would take home the gutted copies all the time. So if you go there and you're being sold a new game that's a gutted copy, chances are employees have played that. They've taken it home, they've played it, because we all did. They didn't stop us. They didn't care. We had to sign it out. That was it. So of course we did it.
Which blew my mind. It genuinely baffled me. Ever since I heard that, I've always been amazed that there weren't more reviewers doing that. Like, if you were an up-and-coming reviewer, get a job at a GameStop, start checking out games, and you could have day one reviews to every single release. You could check out the game several days early. Nobody's ever done that, though, and that just blows my mind. Why the hell wouldn't you do that?
Well, I'm going to be honest. When I worked at GameStop, YouTube was still just cat videos.
Yeah.
It was a while ago. Yeah, it was like I was just done high school. In 2005, 2006, when I started working at GameStop. So YouTube was still very young. But yes, if you work at GameStop, you could easily review games on YouTube without too much issue.
Totally free. I mean, you think about you're working with no overheads. You could review the most indie stuff or the biggest stuff because it's all free to you. You're just checking it right back in. But nobody's done that. I don't know why.
And they sell you a brand new used game for full price.
Yep, it happens all the time. Like I said, we'd play it. And we would just have to try to be very careful with it, and then we'd bring it back and just put it right back out. Most times we would take it off the wall because we had so many gutted copies, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
We cut open like 8 at a time. If we got 50, we'd be cutting open 10 of them. We'd take a knife and just take a stack, just right down the sides and take them out. It was so common, it was insane, actually. But there was all kinds of little loophole things we would do. So
yeah.
Yeah, it was bad, but that was a long time ago. So let's look at the chat for a little bit, guys, before we close up, since we got about 12 minutes left. See if anybody wants to ask anything before we head out. Dave, I will say you might get questions about your video, just so you're aware. So if you don't want to say anything, you might as well just tell people now. You're not gonna say anything right now. So
I I'm not thinking about it.
Oh, we're gonna end up on the no again, man.
No.
Okay.
I don't know. No,
we've been on there a couple times.
I will say something is that there is some big news coming, but I think I said last time that Nintendo has some big surprises in store still, and I said that in my video as well.
The Trump card, right?
Yeah, but there is big news coming in general. I won't say from who. Okay, and so this is coming soon, so we will see.
Oh wow, soon. Okay, good.
I don't want to hint at who it's coming from, but soon, very soon.
Oh, cool. Good to hear it soon. Good to hear. Very cool.
And I am planning, and my next video should be around the end of the month or so.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Is it we're talking like Nintendo or Switch related, right? That's what we're talking about, right?
Well, I said news in general. That is in general. I'm not going to say who it's from. And there's also something. There's also, of course, there's also some, like I said, some surprises coming from Nintendo later. So that's separate.
Oh, okay, cool. So there's like, I'm trying to generalize this, like multiple general announcements.
Yeah. I really want to be vague right now. It's important. Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. Yep. I got you completely. Don't want to out any sources or anything. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. Good to know though that some stuff's coming. Good to know. Well, when it happens, you can talk about it then, I guess. So
yeah, I'm sure we will all be talking about that stuff.
Oh, okay, good.
People are asking in chat if we've seen the Ready Player One trailer, which that's my favorite book of all time, seriously. So that trailer literally made me cry. It is so freaking awesome.
There's a trailer for it?
Yeah, it just came out today, and oh my freaking gosh. Have either of y'all read the book, or any of y'all read the book?
I have not, no.
No.
So it's super awesome. The whole game, basically, it takes place in the future. Everybody just lives in like basically giant stacks of mobile homes now. Like overpopulation is such a problem. It's like 11 million population. So to get out of that, everybody all day long plays this giant VR game called Oasis, where it's super realistic. You literally put on gloves and everything, so it looks like you're real. But what's really funny about the game is that since anything is possible in this world, people do what you'd really expect. People make themselves look like Harley Quinn or Freddy Krueger or Duke Nukem. And in the trailer, we see that. Everybody was afraid, because that's the way it happens in the book. People were afraid that they weren't going to be able to get permission for that. But no, there's definitely a shot in there where he's riding on the back of the Iron Giant from the movie Iron Giant, and Freddy Krueger jumps at him and he vaporizes him with a machine gun blast. And you see Deadpool, and you see him driving the bike from Akira in a street race against a million different people. And it looks like it's going to be like
licensing in there.
Yes. Well, the whole thing, clearly they spent hundreds of millions of dollars maybe just trying to get everything in line. But man, it looks like it is going to be a video game player's dream, because it is literally the ultimate war of ideas.
Wow.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
And obviously my favorite book of all freaking time. That trailer completely wins me over. Holy hell.
Wow. Okay. Did you see the trailer for the disaster movie?
No.
It's so good. You haven't seen that at all? Okay, so we're all familiar with The Room, right? The terrible movie.
Oh yeah, the Disaster Project. Yeah.
Sorry, Disaster Project. Yeah. So did you see the trailer for that?
Yeah, that looks so funny.
So good. Oh my God, Dave, did you see it?
I haven't. I got to see it then.
Yeah, that's it's awesome. So what's happening is Seth Rogen, James Franco, and his brother. I'm trying to remember what his name is.
Dave Franco.
They're going to reenact the process of them shooting and creating the movie The Room.
Yeah.
And and James Franco plays Tommy Wiseau.
That sounds great already.
And the trailer shows them trying to shoot the scene. The worst scene in the movie, obviously. Act one.
Well, it's one of them, but it was one scene, one line, and it was a solid.
I did not hit her. They are lying. It's bullshit. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah, they try to film it, and they're on take 65 or something like that. Well, and he says it terribly, and they just start clapping.
In the book, they even talk about the fact that Tommy Wiseau kept walking like a robot. He didn't know what to do with his arms, and so they gave him the bottle of water so he'd have something to do, and that's why he throws it so robotic, I did not.
Yeah.
Are you okay, bud?
Oh, that was such a good trailer. I'm excited for that. It's coming out in December, apparently. Apparently, it's already finished, and they watched it at some of the film festivals, but they just have it slated for December. I think it's very similar to the movie that they did. What was the movie they did where they went to North Korea?
The Interview.
Done for like a half a year, and then they released it in December because they watched it at the same film festival.
Disaster Project's been done for quite a while. I remember they because the filming was really short, just like the actual movie. The whole thing is basically them goofing around in like one tiny little studio. The whole movie takes place in one tiny little studio. So I think they filmed it in 39 days or something.
Wow. Yeah, it looks like they just went to a set in Hollywood, and they're like, we're just going to take this set for a little while.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I'll be looking forward just to seeing that because they're usually pretty fun. They're not like they don't make like movies that are going Oscars or anything, but you watch it, you have a laugh, and you're like, "Oh, it was fun."
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm okay with that. What else? Do we have anything else in the chat that I missed while I was talking about that?
Way higher. Everybody was kind of speculating about what do we think about the attach rates of Splatoon 2? Do we really think that that's going to be like the new best-selling Switch game?
No, see, that's the thing, because the Zelda eclipsed 100% attach rate at one point, obviously, until the Switch started selling. I think Mario Odyssey is going to have probably the biggest attach rate.
Oh, really?
If you discount Zelda's initial sales, because they've kind of leveled off now.
Yeah, that time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like Mario is it. I mean, yes, Splatoon 2 is going to have a massive attach rate in Japan, but I think Mario is it's Mario, it's Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that'll have the attach rate. Like that is definitely going to sell 1 million copies in its first day. No question.
Yeah. Well,
it should,
a bunch of my real life friends who are not really gamers, as I know a lot of people in the book business, they don't really play games. A lot of people right now are super interested in the Switch. They're seeing all this advertising, and almost everybody is being like, the day Mario comes out, that's when it's a machine for me. So I do think we're going to see a humongous spike in Switch sales, and of course Mario's going to fly out.
It's going to be up to Nintendo to get those Switches out though. Like, do we think Media Create's going to show up this week coming up, and do you think they hit 50,000 Switches sold?
They got to.
Yeah, because of Splatoon.
There absolutely was a restock, by the way, of Switches.
Definitely.
Yeah. Because I did. People did tell me that their Walmarts. OJ posted a picture at Walmart. I went to my Walmart, and they said that they had. I think they had 3 cases, which they said equated to about 18 Switches, and they had 30 people show up. So people just didn't get them. But yeah, they were people were in line inside Walmart for them. So
it was on sale online on Best Buy for like an hour until it sold out too. So that was more than their usual, 5 they restocked or something.
Yes, there's a chance they pushed out an extra 25,000 in Japan because it hit 31,000. Was that 31,000 last week? Am I thinking right?
Yeah.
Or was it 29,000? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's a good chance they pushed out an extra. There's a chance they put out an extra 20 or 19,000 to hit that 50,000 mark. But
they really need to. They need to push out as much as they can because people can't buy the Splatoon 2 without having the Switch if they don't have this. Vice versa. So
yes. So they should have sold tons of accessories. That's Splatoon 2 Pro Controller sold out constantly. So Splatoon is going to push sales in Japan for quite a while. Like those lotteries are going to be out of hand.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how it does when Dragon Quest 11 comes out the following week too.
Yeah, but that's gonna be on the. Oh, you're talking about because that's gonna be on the 3DS and the PS4, which the 3DS version should outsell the PS4 version.
I'm not sure because the PS4 version is outselling the 3DS version in terms of pre-orders. So I don't know.
Oh, is it?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be interesting.
We'll see.
It'll be interesting because I know there's a lot more 3DSs there than PS4s by a good chunk. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting. I mean, it's technically a different game, so I guess you go either way with it. But I mean, it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens when that comes out on the Switch. See how that sells.
Dragon Quest 11.
They keep talking about it on the Switch, but they haven't shown anything for it in Japan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They showed a lot of beautiful title cards though.
We don't even know which version it is. Like we feel like it's the PS4 version, but we don't know. It's hard to say, but the Media Create sales charts are going to be very interesting going forward for the next couple weeks. So I'm actually pretty excited to see them. Usually we see them our time in United States, usually Tuesday night going into Wednesday, we start seeing them pop up. So
yeah, every time I wake up on Wednesday morning, I post them on Twitter.
Yeah. So look for them next week. And then of course we do have, we have Nintendo's quarterly results coming up soon, don't we? Their quarterly financials. That's towards the end of July, right? That's like
we have Sony also
next week,
August 1st.
Yeah, that should be next week that we see Nintendo stuff. Isn't that like July 28th or something?
I'm not the faintest.
I don't have that date.
That should
I'm not quite sure.
Let me see. Quarterly report July, right? That should be when we see. It should be the end of July because when did we get the last ones? That was the end of
It was
was that
June, wasn't it?
Was it?
I don't know.
When did we see them? Shoot, I remember hearing about them, and I'm trying to remember when we see them. I thought it was soonish. Oh, here it is. Is this it? July. I see July 26th. Let me see if that's right. There's the schedule in Japanese.
Well, they had their shareholders meeting in June 30th.
July 26th, 2017, 3 months earning release.
Oh, okay. It's different.
So that's on Japan's site. So that's going to be a little different as opposed to here. I'm not sure what the difference in terms of time zone or anything is for that release or when they release them. But basically, this week coming up, we're going to see everything about the last 3 months from Nintendo. So we're going to see down to the T how many Switches they've actually sold worldwide.
Yeah.
So we're going to get an update from our what was it? The last number we officially saw from them was 2.75 or 2.74 million Switches, right? So the hope for Nintendo is that they did eclipse 4 million Switches.
Which I'm just excited to see this, just to see exactly how record-breaking these sales are going to be. Because let's face it, Nintendo's always been doing decent, but this is like, I feel like the first quarter where they are going to be murdering it.
Yeah, their software sales are going to be high. They've already shown that in Media Create. Even MPD still shows Zelda ranking. What was that like 6, Dave, or 7?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, and they actually gave us they gave us a number for ARMS at 256,000.
Yeah.
Units, which is good. That's actually very good for a Japanese influenced new IP that shows up in the United States. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, Mario Kart 8 sold 180 and Zelda 145.
Yep. Which tells me that Mario Kart would have had to have been on sale then if it was below Zelda in the rankings somewhere. I don't know where it would have been on sale.
Well, I mean, it came out more recently than Zelda, so you just got to think it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, maybe people are using the Best Buy thing. I don't know because it goes by revenue. People were bringing this up too because Mario Kart came in underneath, even though they gave us the numbers. Like I don't know if there was like some sale for Mario Kart or something. I don't know.
It wouldn't surprise me. A lot of places I've noticed have been just trying to do sort of bundles, like third-party bundle type of thing. Of like, it's not an official Nintendo bundle, but they're having some sort of sale where it's like buy
GameStop?
a Switch. Yeah, well, Best Buy is what comes to mind. I think the Best Buy, I saw them doing some sort of sale of like, we have 10 Switches and all 10 that sell, you get like Mario Kart for $20, whatever. Just because they're trying to get more people in the door to buy 15 freaking Switch games or whatever.
So we'll end the podcast with this. How many units do you think the Switch has sold through June 30th? Because that's where their third quarter would have ended, or their second quarter would have ended.
From launch?
Yes, from launch.
I am going to shoot in the dark and say 4.5 mil.
Okay, that's fair. What do you think, Evan?
It's Splatoon 2, yeah, probably around 4.5, but I'd say 4.6.
Well, Splatoon 2 wouldn't be counted in that. It would be June.
So it would be before that? Okay.
Yep, June 30th. So it would have been from their launch in March all the way up to now, June. End of June.
So sort of like a closest without going over.
We know.
Price is right.
Yeah. Well, we know before these three. What's that? June, May, April. We would know that it was 2.74. So you're trying to guess how many more they've sold in the 3 months after that.
With the shortages and everything,
Yes,
I'd probably shoot lower at about 4.3.
Okay, 4.3 is fair. What do you think, Dave?
From the actual numbers we know about from the United States and Japan, Japan's 1.1 million, United States is 1.6 by the end of June or something like that. So then you add on another million or so. I would say about 4 million.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna come in right at I'll say 4.2 just because I'm trying to fit in there with everyone. I think we're all on the same.
Write it all down so we get that over under prize.
Yeah. All right, everybody.
I'll send you one of my cardboard fight sticks.
You're sending someone's the cardboard fight stick. Yeah, you have a couple of those now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we'll leave it with that. We do think it's probably above 4 million, at least at 4 million at this point, which honestly is good for Nintendo right now, considering the Wii U lost all steam at this point, and the Switch has not. So their benchmark right now is the Wii U. That's what they're focusing on right now, is passing the Wii U, which they will. By the end of the year, I think they will be on target for their 10 million as they get more out. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get to this time next year and we're talking about, we're trying to figure this out, and we're like, maybe they have 15 or 16 million. We're trying to figure this out. So, and that's a big win because that means they eclipsed the 13 million of the Wii U. So. All right, I guess we'll call it there, guys. It was a little over 2 hours, but that's about right for per usual. So, guys, want to go down the line? Max, where can they find you, man?
Just youtube.com/Dreamcast guy. Check out my channel. I've got a review of Fortnite coming out Monday, and then a very, very awesome Sega-related secret review coming out next Friday on the 28th, which you're definitely going to see.
Secret review, nice. Is it a retro game?
I don't know. We'll have to see. Who knows?
All right. Evan, where can they find you, man?
I'll just drop it in chat. There you go. Anything under that name, Instagram, Twitter, pretty much everything. You're
streaming the new Squeenix game, aren't you?
Yeah, just another one that kind of pops up on radar where you're just like, how did no one tell me about this?
It just popped up on Steam. Some new Square Enix game popped up on Steam.
It's Square Enix published. The company that made it put it in for like their publisher program where they just hand a company a bunch of money for being awesome, and then they just.
Is it that Zodiac Children or whatever?
Zodiarcs, yeah. I played a little bit of it. It feels so amazing.
They really emailed me a copy of it, but I haven't installed it yet because I'm a jerk by accident.
You should try it. Like, it's pretty enjoyable for a tactics game.
Okay. Yeah, so Evan's going to be streaming that. So if you check him out, is it on Twitch, Evan?
Yeah, it's under the same name. I'll be doing it shortly after this.
Yeah, sweet. So guys, go check Evan out on Twitch to see if you want to check that game out if you're interested. And then, Dave, where can they find you, man?
I encourage everybody to follow me on Twitter at smetaldave64 and on YouTube, SuperMetalDave64, and I will have more videos in August.
Yeah, you're most active on Twitter, right? That's like where your thing is right now.
Yeah, but I will be having more videos soon, and so look forward to that.
You're just waiting for that announcement, right? Since that was where your video left off.
Man, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, good. I'm glad to see that you're excited about it, Dave, because that means it's going to be really exciting. So,
well, we'll have to wait and see.
It's good to see that you can just tell that you have like this internal built-up excitement for whatever's coming. So I'm glad that it's a big announcement because usually when we start getting closer to the holidays, announcements start to slow down and it's all about games. So it's good to hear that something is coming. So.
Yeah, guys who follow me, they know me pretty well. If I'm excited about something, I'm pretty, they can tell.
Good. Well, I think I'll be able to spot the announcement more than likely. So
yeah, you will.
Okay, good. Well, when that happens, I definitely want to have you back on that week so we can talk about it.
Okay.
Is that possible? Can we do that?
Most likely, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, guys, that's it. That's it for tonight. Of course, this is you can follow us at SpawnWave Media on Twitter, or you can subscribe here for SpawnWave. We do this every Saturday night, 9 p.m. Max has become a regular now, Dreamcast guy for the most part, so you'll see him a lot. Evan, of course. Philip had some technical difficulties tonight. He said it took hours to get his video uploaded or something, so he was fighting that all night. Yeah, so
terrible.
Streaming was going to be very difficult for him. So. But I wanted to get him on here. We'll talk to him next week about it because he was at San Diego Comic-Con and had quite a bit of time with Skyrim and other Switch stuff. So on here next week as usual. So that's it for now, guys. We'll see you next Saturday night, 9 p.m.